On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, a lot of banners. And also we're going to talk about new Yamatai-koku, since the story's all done. But that'll be in a little bit. Hi, hello, welcome to Let's Talk FGO, the podcast that is normally mostly about FGO. I am one of your hosts, Omega, with me as always, Lucky. I paused there for a second because I tried to make pithy subtitles like Astro Bot in like 5 seconds, and I can't do it. It requires a lot more crafted comedy than that. But how you doing? How you doing, people at home? You having a good day, audience?
Well, I hope you're all having a good day. So, let's move on. I hope everyone is enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka actually the most ambitious crossover. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events for the JP and EA version of the game. So, anyone not wanting spoilers should throw down tea ceremony style.
They should become chilled pickles. I also suppose the other topic of reference I could do is I could have talked about how spooky it is because it's Friday the 13th. But, honestly, I'm pretty sure there's a Friday the 13th, like, somewhere in the calendar, like, every year. There's 12 months. It seems like it would work out that way. Maybe there's a skip year every once in a while. We've been doing this a while, okay? So Friday the 13th shows aren't super special, and it won't even be the 13th anymore by the time this goes public, so. But it was, briefly, during the time we recorded this. Chronologically, Friday the 13th. Boo! Let me actually check how bad that's up. Nah, it's not even that bad. I do want to say before we get into it, people did say on last week's episode that generally the volume sounded fine. So I will warn you, since I am still not, using normalize to cap off the audio. There's an off chance if we get really loud that will peak your poor headphones, but most people seem to think we were okay. So we just won't normalize anymore. We'll be us. Raw, unfiltered, and loudened, and biggened. I could probably carry on that string of adjectives for another 5 minutes, but I won't, because we have more interesting things to talk about. Like, actually, remembering to do stuff, thanking our patrons, because we did all our intro stuff. Because this episode is brought to you by our patrons like Adam DeHarp, Blacklist G, Call Me Zed, Carlos, Dragon, JDV9000, Justin Faye, Kaiser, Chris Starlight, Legendary Boston, Liam Kester, Rise of Kenji, Ro Robin, Charvor, Some Guy Named Bob, and Darren the Crow. If you like what we do and listen to more, consider supporting us on Patreon. Get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and it really helps us out. Sorry if I sounded slightly softer there at the end. That's because I pre-tilted my face to receive a water bottle. I cannot drink water and speak directly into the microphone at the same time. It's not how this works. I probably could rig up like a little tube, like a beer hat, so I can water, but I'm sure that would stress out my poor mic arm, and it doesn't need that. I've had it several years. It's a little beat up. But we shall move swiftly on from there and get into your show stuff prepare. First, check out everybody's favorite Kohai, Mash.
先輩、起きてください。
Because it is time for Wake the Fuck Up Senpai ranking segment for Proteops. And simply, this week, so last week I was like, hey, you got like 15 days, you don't need to worry about it. Well, now you got like 10 days. It says 9 days, but I think at the end of the 9 days it starts counting 24 hours, so it's like 10-ish days. You got like 10 days to finish the event. So if you're not started on new Yamatai-koku now you probably should be concerned to become started. You should get started. Don't even get me started. Not like, full crisis mode to make sure you max out that ladder, but probably a good idea to get in there, get your grail, stuff like that. Get some time to work. So work it. Work the time.
Work it.
I've been a little slower progress on the post-story clearance because of playing Astro Bot, but I am still keeping up. Need to farm them T points, though. And so at this time period, no real records or evils. We're still plugging away at stuff. My EO's not quite NP5 yet. I got my grail, but we're still working on the points ladder and stuff, so nothing crazy to write home about yet. We're still big chilling. And I think I don't even, let's see, I might have gotten Yaminami to Max Ascension and should report as Smile Protected, but I think I'm actually, still haven't actually gotten the last couple embers to Max Ascension. God, I forgot Riku's name for a second. Riku yet, because actually doing the boss quests doesn't give you a lot of rewards in that respect. But yeah, okay. We move on to our next regularly scheduled segment. Did you finish your master missions? To complete your master missions, you need to defeat 15 each of Saber or Assassin enemies, Archer or Rider enemies, Caster, Lancer, or Berserker enemies. All three of those are separate missions. Also defeat 15 enemies with the Beast trait. Complete 5 quests, complete 10 quests. So, do the event. It's very straightforward. Do the event, clear your master missions, get your fragments, and also get some extra stuff. And so, funnily enough, we can rattle around to Skelograms already at about 6 minutes of stuff, and it will be very brief. Because the only thing really happening right now is that the... Sorry. Burp snuck up on me. The next section of the ordeal call, archetype inclusion, did progress, so the next block of story is available. There are actually some banners associated with this. Sorry, my confusion there is because I'm trying to load the normal FGO website in English to double-check the news there, because I'm pretty sure there's nothing, but it's being really weird right now. My internet has been a little touchy lately, probably because it's been raining so much. All right, I'll check back in that in a sec. So, new ordeal call story drop, further story stuff. We're not playing JP live, so no comment on story. Our audience has been pretty good about keeping the spoiler stuff under wraps. Good for you. Great work, team. So, while there is, I think, speculation about further banner characters, I'm pretty sure there are some new playable characters showing up in story. We're not locked in yet, and I don't think the extra ascension for BB Dubai is fully activated yet, so not exactly sure how that's going to end up resulting. Again, we have ideas about where stuff's going, but I don't know for sure. But they did also drop some new banners. Another kind of who's who of possibly related characters to do with moon stuff. I think probably the most interesting selection here is they decided to throw in a Koyan of Dark / Edison role, which if that's story related, I'll be very interested to see how that's going to play out. We've also got the legendary Double Stolf banner, Saber Astolfo and Ryder Astolfo on the same one. Funnily enough, a just Jinako banner. I guess she is already permanent, so it's not that impressive, but it's very funny that she's just all by her lonesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's weird. Sorry, the FGO regular news site keeps asking me every time I reload it if I want to save cookies, so I think there's some weirdness going on there. I'll cycle back to what I am reading, though, there. But yeah, so regular Jinako, just all by her lonesome. But there's also a King Protea and Lip banner. So again, unknown if there's, an alt for Passion Lip coming or a costume, but she got a banner with King Protea up, so we got another block of banners. I'm going to guess that means that we're saving any other further servant reveals for the third and final story drop phase. I'm not going to say third and final banners because, the summon campaign has... they call this Summon Campaign 2, but I think the first one had a couple of raid-ups, and this one has, multiple cases where for, several hours at least, several of these 4 raid-ups cross over, so, it's really 2 banners. But I do want to actually, this probably should have been in protest, but also works as news. I do actually have a little bit EN news now that I've gotten the website to load correctly. There is something to say, and I think this is reflected on the JP side as well, so just kind of general FGO news. They have said for sure that currently FGO is not rated to actually perform on iOS 18 and iPad OS 18, the 18th version. So until they officially approve it, they do not recommend using it with the update because it might break. They don't know. Once they're done, they'll release the updateification mode and, let you do that. But as always, sorry, it just triggered a deep memory. Use extra caution. Thank you, Metal Gear Solid 4, Radio Man. But yeah, so just as always, be cautious when going to versions that are not officially rated to compatibility. It's probably not going to be an issue, but it could be. So, things may be unstable until they officially release a compatibility update. And like I said, that should be for EN or JP. And someone in our Patreon chat did bring up, funnily enough, there is no Archetype Earth banner yet, which does seem a little curious because we are going all in on Moon Cancers. Maybe that'll be for the third phase. But actually, vaguest of related to FGO news, but is still a cool type Moon news. It's been known for a very long time that Arquade's appearance was based on a model that Takuchi saw in a magazine, roughly based it. And other than this interview knowledge, we, the audience, haven't really known who that was or what the photo was. They showed the photo very blurrily, back in the day, but it was not sourced to a magazine or anything. But just this past week, some people actually did some internet detective work and found it. I do not have the model's name in front of me right now. Where did we post that? Did that end up in normal FGO chat? Sorry, I was going up in our FGO chat. I remember you posted the ad about why can't I play the Copper Mine. Yes, okay. Her name is Amanda Dyer. She's a Canadian model, and actually did confirm at least the original photo was her. So yeah, what does this mean? Is Arc actually Canadian? Well, that's your call. But it's funny, and it's interesting to get this kind of information gotten in because it's the kind of thing that only really happens, I think, in that 2000-ish era of oh yeah, we saw a model on a magazine. Which magazine was it? I don't fucking remember. I forgot to write it down. We can't digitally check. Here's just the reference photo we used, you know? As opposed to these days where everything is, like, digitally archived immediately. But that is going to bring the end of our Skelligram's news phase for this week.
That would be it. All right. So with that, let us move on over to this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag, the segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. I'll do one last refresh here. All right. And we have five lovely comments that we'll get to in turn. So everyone sit down, grab your favorite drink, and we'll begin right now. This first one comes from a Monster Girl aficionado, who says, Dear Heart of the Cards Omega and Wild +4 Lucky. I actually have a question for you this week. What's your favorite kind of tea? Sending you good vibes, wah 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 wah, and wishing you well. Keep up the great work. Sorry, I had to check on the spider on my ceiling. I keep thinking he's moving, but he's not.
His dry is playing tricks.
Gee, I don't know. I'm not a expert on spider anatomy, especially when that spider is like 6 feet away. Yeah, it's about 6 feet away, I think. I can just tell it's big and has many legs. But on the subject of tea, overall, I'm not a very big tea drinker. I do like green tea though. Nice and hot, a lot of caffeine, has a nice astringent taste. Very good for waking up in the morning. Usually I would use it like a couple cups a day, but I had a real big craving for coffee like these past couple weeks, so I've been drinking that instead. Surprisingly, despite me growing up in the South and, being someone of a darker skin color, I'm not a big fan of iced tea, whether normal or sweet. I can drink it, but I would usually try to go for something else.
Funnily enough, now I am the iced tea drinker here, which is also doubly funny because my mother would usually make it, and she's English and doesn't drink iced tea. She's British, but it makes it perfectly fine. So I don't know. I guess that means my favorite is Lipton Black. Throw it in the tea bags. No, I don't drink a lot of tea. I've drank a lot of iced tea in my time, but I don't drink it otherwise. So I guess that's probably my quote-unquote favorite. I am very interested in the concept of tea, but it's not really so. It would take me a little extra effort and monies to shop around for what's a neat tea to have. Normally I just stick with the coffee. It's pretty straightforward for me. So yeah, that's tea.
So we'll move on. This next one comes from the Tyrant King, ready to spam beers with his new Jirac deck. Is this a Yu-Gi-Oh thing?
Yes.
Is it like Jirac is like Jurassic?
Yes, they're dinosaurs. They're also on fire.
So we have burning dinosaurs now.
Yeah.
Is this a oil analogy? Burn your dinosaurs for power.
No, I don't know. I think Japan just likes dinosaurs that are on fire.
Very well then.
Maybe it's because there's a kanji for dragon in the word for dinosaur in Japanese.
Dragons are cool. But this person says, Hey guys, this week I have a two-part question. First off, since it's second, interlude got turned into a manga chapter. Yes, by the way, if you didn't know this, Redrop actually did turn Kama's interlude, where she basically plays a bunch of roles for you in your dream. Turned that into a one-shot. It's actually very good. If you know where to look, it's not hard to find, so I do heartily recommend it. Which servant interludes would you like to see in manga form? Oh.
There's a lot of interludes.
Mm-hmm. Second question is, what announcements are you looking forward to for the Aniplex Online Fest? Anyway, that's it for me. Sending good vibes your way. Wah, 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 wah. And hope you have a great evening. P.S. If we do get more manga interludes, I would really like Anastasia's.
That's a good one. That's a pretty insightful one.
Sorry if I'm being a bit quiet at the moment. I'm actually thinking.
Yes, that's Lucky's processing. He's not yet fighting the spider. If it came to Mortal Kombat, there'd be a lot more yelling.
Mm-hmm. Listen, when the background music plays, you know something's happening. But
we were both going there. You got there first.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say it's when that one track from Star Trek starts playing. No, but yeah, there's a lot of interludes. I'm trying in my brain to think about what is a discrete piece of story that I know is a specific interlude.
There's a few interludes that always stick out in my head, but one that always stuck out particularly is one with Lancer Artoria, where she's being kind of cold to you and you don't know why, so you meet her in a dream, and then Romulus shows up and be all like, "It's love! Tell her you..." tell her you love her. And you're like, I love her. And Lancer Artoria just gets super flustered about it. I'm like, yes, no, I need more of that. Thank you, King Romulus. Such a Chad. So, but honestly, like, I feel like we've been, like, real bad. Like, we don't get as many interludes as we used to anymore, so kind of hard to think about them.
Yeah, back in the day, we used to do interludes as a whole ass campaign, but I think it's been a while. Yeah, let's see. The most recent interlude campaign for us was dated to last December. Nowadays, we usually just block them out, like, 2 or 3 at a time. It does look like there were a couple cases where they just this year squelched in a couple of extra interludes and called it an interlude campaign to kill time, but they're very focused. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at them though. There's a decent spread of them. Like Anastasia's was really good. I distinctly remember that one. And if you want to do a comedy one shot, Yume Ren's interlude is very funny.
Yes, no, that one was amazing. I would love to actually see her doing the things that they described, like running up the servants and putting them in a headlock.
Yeah, like that's probably like, especially for one shots, comedic ones are definitely got a lot of funny potential there.
If I'm gonna be real though, if I wanted to see manga chapters out of things, give me Valentine scenes.
That would also be really great to visualize, or like, not quite in the same style, but like short animations similar to what they do with Ritsuka Doesn't Understand.
Oh yeah, that reminds me of the time that they actually got a confectioner to make a bunch of the Valentine Day sweets from FGO, and that was the raddest fucking thing ever. I would love to see more stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff. I mean, hey, not that I, as always, am successful when asking for engagement, but if you out there listening have an interlude you'd like to see as a manga one shot or a little animated thing, go ahead and drop it in the comments or join our Discord. Because like there's some old school interludes. I'm trying to think about the actual content. Like, I'm pretty sure Tomoe Cat has an interlude, and I'm pretty sure I've done it. I don't remember it though. Mordred has a couple interludes, but I don't really, other than that they involve fighting some guys. I don't really remember what is in them. That's true, actually. Ishtar's, I think it's her first interlude where she's like, hey, quick, come with Babylonia to me, get some gems. Oh no, Gilgamesh's anti-Ishtar defenses. That could be funny as well. There were a couple gags in there.
But let's move it on it. Also apologize if I'm a little quiet and low today. Lucky does not have the energy to summon up his energetic voice at the moment.
That's okay, we're not. Well, we'll see if it's okay, but I think it should be better because I'm not leveling out the audio. I can hear you just fine.
That's good. But this next one comes from Master Matcha, who says, salutations, Jasmine Lucky and Ginseng Omega. Hope you are still enjoying Yamatai-koku Part 2. My question to you is this, gentlemen, this week, is simply, are you a fan of black tea or green tea, or perhaps both? And what is your favorite tea, you ever drank? We did answer this before, but I am much more of a green tea drinker. Actually, I do not believe that I've had, like, traditional black tea, like, ever, now that I think about it. I should, at some point. Honestly, I wonder if I can find me some a tea set with, like, cherry blossom motifs on it. Like, I know, like, it is because Lucky is, like, a big weeb, and I genuinely do love, like, Sakura from FGO, but Lucky actually really, really loves the aesthetic of cherry blossoms. So I've been actually considering redecorating my bathroom with a cherry blossom motif. Which would be nice because my bathroom currently looks like a redneck pit stop, and I kind of want to change that. And pretty pink flowers seems the way to do it.
I mean, it's that or a seascape.
Yeah, I don't want to do a seascape. Yeah, I don't want to do a seascape. I see too many seascapes. Why does everyone have to put shells on the back of the toilet? Sometimes you won't find a shell on the beach, but you'll find it on the back of the toilet, so I'm going to complain that shit to me.
But yeah, I know, like I said, I have not yet bothered to deeply explore tea, but I know they got a lot of stuff out there, a lot of different infusions and blends you can try. I mean, that's the fucking joke in Scott Pilgrim. I think the anime does a good job of it too, but like in the original comic, Ramona asks like Scott if he wants to try like 10 different kinds of tea. Sleepy time. And yes, as discussed earlier, I probably lean more on the black tea side. I haven't had a lot of green tea in my life, but as both traditionally brewed hot tea and as iced tea, I think it's mostly been black.
And honestly, I'm not, when we're speaking about like best tea I ever drank, I'm sorry, I see the word drank, and my first thought is I'm gonna go purple drank. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Tea is usually not much in it. much up there in my favoriteest drinkiest bits. After this event, though, I might try to pursue the matter of tea a bit more. Seems interesting. So, we'll move on with that one. Our next one comes from Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Lucky and Omega. Have a good weekend, y'all." Well, thank you, as always. I'm glad to see you in here. And we move on to our final one this week, who comes from Procrastinator is Singing Under the Rainbow, if I made it into Mailbag. And they say, "Sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah." Thank you very much for that. I hope your life is going okay. If I remember correctly, I believe they were suffering the consequences of their actions, or lack of actions, as they said. I'm not entirely sure. I don't remember.
Yes, but hopefully if they're rainbow singing, we're doing better. And indeed, you did make it into Mailbag. You did better than a couple of other people in this bag, if the YouTube timestamps are correct. Good for you. Thank you for your Mailbag questions, as always.
Yep, thank you. And we are done with that segment. Moving on.
And in case people aren't clear, actually, because I know Lucky, does the, we review, etc. Love those kinds of things. It's like every time I open up a one, then I'm like, show where we tell you if you want to roll that 5-star. But if you don't know, Mailbag is posted on our YouTube channel. It's a YouTube post every week, usually on the Friday when we are recording. So just, stay subscribe to the channel and stay tuned. And if you want up-to-date stuff, Lucky will at the Discord server usually when it's posted. So you can get your announcements multiple ways. But yes, I shall closeth the Mailbag and move on to Fur Talk. Because, while it is a 3-week event, it is still an FGO event, and you can get some stuff out there, so we have a few things to talk about. I'll just do this in the order I wrote it. Number 1, Welfare Corner. Just, imagine some big bubbly font to pop up when I say that. Something suitable for children's access television at roughly 8 a.m., I want to say. So Io's here. She's fully here. You can get your full copy now, and get all your extra NP copies. It's interesting to me because this is a thing that I know lots of other gacha games kind of do, which is, and for instance, I feel like I most associate this style of gameplay with Arknights, but I know there are others that do it. Lots of other gacha games will do this thing where they release like a super high level unit and then slowly disperse out some lower rarity, like lower star units, which are very much in a similar niche, like doing very similar mechanics, but not quite to the same level as the higher rarity. Or they'll go in the reverse. They'll do like a low star version first and then step scale it up. Sometimes it feels like FGO does that, but a lot of times servants are like really unique niches, So Io's kind of like a little Hibiko, but also very much doing her own thing. Like she's got similar skills, but she's blue instead of red. She's more finesse, whereas Himiko is, let's just say that there's a reason why we said that, free Buster Cards is like a gorilla. Actually, I'm pretty sure that's a stream quote where somebody was talking about Gawain. Gawain already gets called a gorilla because of extra memes.
I'm pretty sure Himiko gets called a gorilla in this event at some points as well.
Yes. Oh, I mean, Axe, if you are thinking Himiko is a support servant, you are using your Himiko incorrectly. Himiko has several selfish skills. Her strategy is, make myself do huge crits. Yeah, Legendary said it best in our Patreon chat. Himiko supports herself. She does have a non-damaging NP, but it is a self buff of the most extreme type. Like obviously she can does stuff for your whole squad, but like it's really so she can fucking lay down the law. The law is her fist. Io is less about that. Like I said, she's mostly blue. She's quick arts buster. She's on the lower attack, higher HP side for 4-star rulers, which is a fairly robust slot for extras. There are some extra classes that have basically no 4 stars, or one only 4-star. And now there's plenty of rulers, so Io comfortably slots in there. Her hits are a little higher, so her NP gain is a little bit lower, but because she is arts focused, this should not be too much of a problem. She has, 4-hit arts and quick cards, so she's 0.41 NP gain. Her NP is AoE arts. It gives herself 10% NP damage up for 3 first. Probably a smart move for them to make this flat and then scale with overcharge, because she is presumably going to be a free NP5 if you're doing the event properly. It also gives the enemy 3 turns of Evil Curse for plus 100% damage, so full double that curse damage. And then, based on overcharge, it gives them 3 turns of curse damage to the whole enemy team, from 1k at lowest level of overcharge to 3k at maximum overcharge, which can be decent, considering you're automatically doubling that to, possibly 6k. 6k per turn for 3 turns is not terrible for mopping up, certain ads or chipping away at bosses. So there's some very fun stuff there. Her first skill is a 20-30% arts up for 3 for herself, and also gives herself 30% damage versus a divinity for 3, very popular trait for servants to have, and also hits all enemies with 1k curse damage for 5 turns. So the numbers don't necessarily line up perfectly, but I do like this for her, that not only does she curse with NP and give evil curse, but also you can, magnify that curse damage as well for several turns. And I believe the way curse works is that, like a lot of buffs of the same type, it's additive. So if you have multiple stacks of curse, they just all get totaled up at the end of the turn. So, hypothetically, she's doing something like if you maxed out her overcharge and you applied her Kido skill correctly, you're doing something like, 8k curse damage per turn. Again, not like huge, but definitely will chip away. And there are plenty of times where you'll get enemies, with guts or just... God knows it's happened to me sometimes in this event. You'll get a guy, and you'll get him down to, 7k HP on the extra card, and they're just like, well, I guess we're going for another turn. So, not terrible curse strats. Her second skill is a 20-30% battery for self, which is, good that it gives it something to scale, because it also gives her 1 turn of big arts crits absorb, star weight on her arts card specifically, and a whopping 5100% crit damage, I believe on those same arts cards specifically. I think they're both blue. Let me actually double check, because I did not write it down specifically in my notes. But yeah, it's only 1 turn, but it's a big crit bomb. And is also a decent NP battery. Yes, it is critical damage on arts cards specifically. So you are going to want to make sure that you use that when you've got cards available, because it is only 1 turn, and that can get a little tricky with the battery, but you should be doing all right. And her third skill is a team-wide buff, something vaguely resembling a charisma, 10-20% attack up for the team for 3, immediately generates 10 stars, and increases the critical damage of wild beast allies with the beast trait, by 30-50% for 3. A little situational, but, 20% attacks, nothing to sneeze at. 10 stars is okay. It's not the greatest, but a further 50% crit damage can be pretty good. And we'll get into how this works for in a second, but Io herself does have the beast trait, so she does give herself the crit damage. So if you combine that with her second skill, she can get a very boosted crit turn. But let's speak on those passives. She has Magic Resistance B, which is a little low for a ruler, but still decent. She has Territory Creation B, so her arts cards are also suitably boosted. Io is just immune to poison and burn. It's called Natural Limbs, so yeah, she's just outright immune to poison and burn debuffs, so she dodges some of the dots. And her final skill is a unique special little quick buff. It gives her 5% extra damage on quick cards and gives her 10% extra critical damage on quick cards. And also, this passive gives her the beast trait. Why it's not just normally in her, trait list, but it's funny this way. So yes, Io does give herself the crits. So all in all, pretty strong arts crit attacker. Obviously, you're hoping to get that free NP5, which means you can get pretty good damage and pretty good curse as a follow-up there. Combine this with, the way ruler class advantage works, I think she's got some power in the game. There are a lot of chances to utilize your rulers for offensive purposes in the game. I think she partners well with pre-existing rulers. If you're in a more drawn-out fight, Jean, was the cornerstone of art stall for many years, and Sherlock does some very, very funny things with crits and piercing. So there's plenty of synergy with your pre-existing rulers and other support. So being a free arts crit unit coming out the month after Lady Avalon drops, no, certainly there's nothing going on in the metagame. There's no synergy here. No, it's crazy. Yeah, no, so Io's pretty good. So let's talk about then. So you didn't get that 5-star. And briefly talk about Yaminami. Yaminami Keisuke is a support saber. He is also on the higher HP, lower attack side. He is also QQAAB. He unfortunately only has two hits on those arts cards, so his NP gain is high, therefore. It's 0.81. He's still 3 hits on his quick cards. That should be fairly decent. But the 2-hit or 1-hit arts card with big NP gain is a design space that I think they've kind of moved away from. Not often seen on servants released these days. His NP is pretty straightforward. It's effectively a supercharged charisma. It's 20-40% attack up for 3 turns, based on your NP level. It's 10 stars per turn for 3. And if you are specifically a Shinsengumi servant, you get 50% crit up for 3 turns. And of course, it's his NP is named after a famous poem written after his death. Not his death poem, but a poem written about him dying. I do like that the game biography, brings up, normally this would be some kind of self-sacrifice NP, but because of, plot and stuff, it's been sublimated into a thing we can do over and over again. Because we realized that if we want self-sacrificing NPs, we have to make them, really good or make the unit really cheap, or both. But yeah, so the overcharge effect is also giving the team NP battery straight up. Minimum is 10%, maximum is 30%. I do want to say, it's not a terrible NP, but I definitely feel like the numbers of multiplication are a little low. Maxing out at 30% battery at overcharge, that's a decent amount of work to get there for a 30% charge, even if it is team-wide. Honestly, I don't know if Yaminami would be competing with other, major support units if they, double the amount you can get on that overcharge, if it was, 20% per team and maxed at, 60. But, I'm also not... I don't own literally every servant, so I can't try out every combination in my head. Actually, as a complete aside, that makes me wonder, has anybody ever built, an FGO battle simulator, I guess, where you can, test out the math of FGO without actually needing to, squiggle the servants? Food for thought. Anyway, skills. His first skill is also a charisma variant. It's a 10 to 20% attack up and 10 to 20% NP gain up for the party for 3. It also generates some number of stars, but for some reason in my notes it says 2. That cannot be correct. So hold on, let me go look it up again. Don't know what possessed me to write 2. Yes, also gain 10 stars. 10 stars flat. Okay, not sure what I was smoking writing 2 there. Second skill is a self buff. It is a 20 to 30% arts and quick up on self for 3 turns, and also charges his own NP battery by 20%. Just straight up, no need to level the skill. So that's pretty good. Final skill is a party-wide one-time 3-turn evade, a 2k to 3k heal, and also removes your party's dot debuffs. All of these are on a 6-turn cooldown, by the way. Passives are just magic resistance D and riding E. So I want to say this. Yaminami's a neat guy, and I don't think his skills are bad, per se. Again, if people are talking about, how, if you're building a worst servants of all time list, it's very unfair not to count that pre-buffs, a lot of launch 4-stars literally didn't have 3 skills. Sometimes their skills were terrible. There are servants to this day who have some unbuffed vanilla launch skills. I was actually thinking about, support, sabers with support kits. And, chat, you can double-check me if I'm wrong here, but other than getting his, skill buff to get his 3rd skill, am I crazy, or does Caesar have, unbuffed vanilla skills? He's still got a vanilla charisma and a vanilla military tactics? Or is the wiki just not updating? Because, that's bad. Yeah, Launch Emmy is not a great guy. They had to buff literally all of his skills at least once. Some of them twice to make them jam. So, looking at the pure numbers, Yaminami is fine. I think the main thing is just that we already have some oddball support savers, usually at lower rarity, so they cost less in your team comp. And I don't think Lysengal went out of their way to make this guy worth the additional cost. I genuinely do not know why they decided all of his skills should be 6-turn cooldown. His charisma should definitely only be 5 turns. Yeah, I know it gives him 20% NP gain up, and it's 10 stars. That's nothing to me, man. Do you know how many stars I can make just exist? Hell, fucking, I don't know what the cooldown is, but, Mozart can just make 50 stars appear. He's a lunatic, It's nothing. I generate, 20% NP gain for the team by breathing with Castorias. So, yeah, it's odd. But if you really like running an all Shinsengumi team, he can be very fun to dole out the buffs. And like I said, they're not terrible skills. That 3rd skill actually is, very robust. A team-wide 3k heal, an evade, and clear your dots. That's solid. That's good. That's workable, man. But I also kind of feel like they designed him right away in 2020, which was the original year that Yamatai-koku 1 launched. And then just didn't let him out of NPC jail for 2 whole years. So he's not, the greatest. And again, I don't want to say he's the worst, but it definitely feels like we could have used some extra juice here, and we can hope that, we can get future Gouda-Gouda-related buffs to maybe make some of those click a little. Because, if you want, weird niche, specific trait supports, Jason exists if you want to run an all-Argonaut team. Those guys are usually pretty good. And Jason has an offensive NP, technically. Yeah, I was just double-checking Jason's skill numbers, and it's I think he's, he has a lot of the similar stuff. Admittedly, they're usually focused on, a single ally, but he's got, evades, remove debuffs, heal on allies, and so on. But his, Argonaut-related buffs are pretty comprehensive, so it's like, we could have given Keisuke a little more gas, is what I'm saying. He would not have broken anything. And when FGO releases units which are not, like, super competitive, I do wonder about, like, how that came out. Sometimes I think it is the thing we talk about where it feels like they were designed at an earlier time period and then just, like, waited for their day to debut finally. Sometimes they touch up such servants, but it is definitely interesting to see. And other times I think they just, they are thinking about, like, the meta balance to not go too ham back to back, but, you can go ham. It's okay. All we do is just make farming go faster. But that will be leaving our So You Didn't Get That 5-star. I'm moving on to our last bit of the free talk at the zone, which is final thoughts on new Yamatai-koku, the plot thereof.
Well, honestly, I don't know if I can actually say, like, final thoughts, because while I did finish the part 1 and got my grail, they got a whole back half in the typical Gouda fashion, and I'm not done with that.
It's true, I'm also not done. So there is an epilogue. We may have our own epilogue, as it were, to this next week. I've played through a few of those back half missions. They are definitely much more on the comedic side, as usual for Gouda.
I think that's good, because the main story was way more serious than I was expecting.
Yeah, I want to say it's a little funny, because last week we not really talking shit, but, like, we were discussing of, like, because people were asking about, like, Gouda stories and stuff, like, oh, most Goudas are pretty well written, but I don't think of them as, like, real hard-hitting stories. And then, no, this one hits pretty hard. Like, they went a little over their normal amount of effort to actually make this one, pretty heavy, as it were, and well hitting. They got some real emotional teeth here.
Oh yeah. Even
though we do, solve one of our problems with just a huge ocean of tea, but it is still Gouda.
I mean, there's worse plans.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't, obviously was doing this off and on over the intervening week, so don't have like a locked in outline, but generally, we were a couple sections in. We were discussing, we've run into Riku as kind of, a mercenary side to this. We learn about, our enemy Ishida, and then as we go on further, it's really like less like Ishida is our enemy, but more like he's the fall guy. He's got his plans, but it's not necessarily working out so good. Mm-hmm. Yaminami is like a quadruple agent at some point. Like he's a double agent, also pretending to be a double agent. But all that does kind of resolve itself with him ultimately being on our side. And Riku is like turbo not on our side. Grandpa's very angry. Also, I should actually double check who Riku's artist is, because there's a lot of extra sprite work here that does not, get used other places, like story sprite stuff, because there are a couple of Komahime specific sprites, the third Ascension one, and then also we've got Spooky Ghost Girl sprite, but also we have fucking this thing. I'll spoiler it so nobody gets jump scared. But yeah, the artist is Shikiso. Have they done anything else? Done some very artsy-looking CEs, but no, that's it. Okay. But yeah, so I also think it's very interesting that like we start with like thinking like because she is the wayfish one, the spooky ghost girl, that like Komahime is driving more of this anger, but no, it's really old man Riku. Like at a certain point in the story, Komahime is speaking to us as the master, just being like, "Yeah, this is getting a little out of hand, isn't it?" And yes, as Active Patreon chat put it, it is interesting that we kind of like we create an interesting character dynamic. You see much more in the back half, which is like they are straight up two people occupying the same body, so they switch back and forth a lot, which leads to kind of like funny like grandpa granddaughter type vibes.
No, I love it.
Yeah, it's great. But we get some serious like spookums. Talk about production value, by the way. In addition to some extra art assets, there's a fucking like little baby cutscene in this Gouda. When we finally awaken the ancestral beast, he has a fucking boss intro cutscene, kinda, which I was super surprised by. I was like not expecting that extra touch there.
No, like I said, they went above and beyond with this Gouda, and I'm glad to see it, honestly. Yeah. It's like I had to make me eat my own words there a bit, but no. I'm excited, especially when they started pulling in Cha-Cha and the rest of the gang, and they had to come in.
Yeah.
I will say it ad infinitum though. Give me Lady Yodo, you cowards! Don't think I didn't see that she switched her name at that last scene there to Yodo no Kata.
Yeah, they keep seeding it out there. Because this actually does and they use a slightly different story spray for her. Like we're really showing that as a character, even in just FGO, like Cha-Cha has range. Because we really lean into a lot of stuff that did not normally come up in her previous stories, where she was much more, not completely, but was usually much more gag heavy. But this one's a lot more dramatic, and so we get a lot of these elements out there. We end on a pretty harder hitting cutscene of literally going into the light and stuff. And also we get sucked down into the tea goop, and Riku is trying to convince us, the master, to be like, hey, what if you had a world where there was no random pain and suffering and everybody was just at peace? Drink my tea. And we're just kind of like, I don't know, man. That doesn't sound very fun. That life sounds kind of boring.
Literally. That's what we said.
Yeah. I mean, it is still a Guda Guda event, which are usually very funny and entertaining. So I think I like that they use that as a point. But it's true. If we did actually live in a peaceful Zen universe without suffering, if we achieved nirvana, there's no point in existing anymore. The point of achieving perfect nirvana is you stop existing. You are freed from the wheel of karma. You are let go of your burdens and are not part of the cycle anymore. Which is great as an end goal perhaps, but also it doesn't really do anything for people who still got work to do. Which is a recurring theme with the master that they bring up a lot that I appreciate, though, of the reason why we keep going is because we feel we still have so much to do, Mm-hmm. We can't stop until we actually do our work and write the course of history, reestablish the human order, and preserve the earth, because man, it would suck if the earth just got melted. So yeah, no, very, very good story. And yes, no, I think I saw you yelling about it in our Patreon chat before I actually got to that step in the story myself, but I also caught it when they changed Cha-Cha's name tag, and they just don't talk about it. I'm just like, yes, I also catch this. Interesting. Also, he doesn't, he's literally doesn't show up on screen. He has speaking roles in Ishida's flashbacks, but we also do some character building and hinting towards Hideyoshi as well. So, like I said, we still haven't gotten a Guda Guda for this year, I believe, in JP, so it would be hopeful we get some more stuff, and, I don't know. It seems like sometimes we're on fucking 2-year cycles for shit to come back. So maybe it's time that we remember we did all this setup for Cha-Cha and Lady Yodo, and we actually do something with it. But yeah, no, all around good ass story. And like I said, so far the vignettes for the post stuff, the Great Tea Challenge, are very funny. I don't know how they do it every year, but they somehow find a way to make fighting Hijikata more unhinged every time.
Oh, yeah.
This time he's got the fucking meme glowing red eyes and is just yelling about, I am chilled pickles. And at this point, I think everybody else in the scene is just like, what the fuck? What? Huh? What's going on with this guy? I don't know, whatever. We just gotta fight him. Solid stuff. Anything else you want to say about new Yamatai-koku, Lucky?
No, not particularly. If I'd actually finished everything, I'd probably have more, but unfortunately I have not.
Well, like I said, we'll hold it in for probably an epilogue thoughts next week, because the event will still be going on. There'll be 1 or 2 days left, hours-wise. But, alright, speaking of hours-wise, let's get this show to over an hour, because, there's not a lot of FGO news to talk about. So, we'll go to the What's Up portion and talk about at least a couple of things. I don't feel the need to drag out the show with Lucky being on the low energy side as is anyway. Who knows? We might. I don't know what everybody's doing. We could go do some Civ maybe. I've seen you and Aaron booting it up off and on for the past couple of days, presumably to test some stuff.
Yeah.
I guess Chad asking us for final thoughts. I do like that we kind of do some character growth for Ishida. He still is an asshole. He's still got a big stick up his ass, but he's not the worst guy. He just happens to be in an awkward position with a lot of guys. And it is kind of cathartic at the end where Cha-Cha is literally like, no, you're adopted. Shut up. You also are my child. Good for him. I want to say this definitely made me want fucking playable Kuchichiko though. Guy's got unique animations. He does fucking battle support stats. He's a cool dog. And he's not really, like I said, he's not really a bad guy. He's literally a heroic spirit.
I did like in that final battle when there's enough, you would just have people come in off screen to do stuff. Like Kuchiko would do an attack, Himiko would literally do her NP, just show up. I was like, that was rad.
Yeah, I love when we do that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's very fun. But yes, then to move on to free talk. Number 1, the bot that is Astro. I have actually acquired Astro Bot and played it. You know, if you were listening carefully, you would have heard me order it live last Let's Talk, and now I've gotten credits to roll, though not 100%. I probably will actually go through all the effort to clock the platinum. It doesn't seem super hard, and I do kind of want to get in there and get all the stuff. So we'll do a little bit of extra work to get there, but it's a super fun time. But yeah, so you know, I'll give a not overly comprehensive, but a decently run review. It's a very solid game. It is as I like to say, a video game-ass video game. Now, what do I mean by this, chat? Well, I mean, pretty simply, it's a video game. It's for entertainment in the best way. It's not like empty-headed or anything, and at times it is. It can be quite difficile. It can be challenging. I swear to God, I haven't played a video game in I feel like years, if ever, that's made me feel like sometimes my fucking depth perception is off as much as this game does. Where I'm just like, hold on, was that guy that close? What am I doing here? Did I miss that jump? But like, the game's plot is you are Astro Bot flying a PS5 through space, and a mean green alien steals your components. He's a scalper and he wants to resell them. So you must go on a quest to rebuild the PS5 and save all your robot friends. That's it. And that's great. That's good. The game is arguably better for that, and also probably cheaper. There's like there's definitely no dialogue. There's almost no voice acting, though there are a few efforts and yells from people. It's very straightforward. I assume like this was really good for translating, but the game is very text light. If at times I would say that's can honestly be a little annoying to me. But it is a game that does not have, like, text tutorials at all. If the game needs to give you a hint on how to do something, it will show you a little button reminder. Sometimes that's just straightforward as being like, hey, stupid, press R2. Other times it's a little more esoteric. There were times when I was looking at these instructions and I was like, I would really prefer if you just told me in plain text rather than, like, pantomime it to me. But, like I said, I've beaten the game, so it's not like a wall. But it is, more simplistic that way, and I think that, honestly, genuinely, probably anybody can play Astro Bot as a result. So, simplified plot, simplified tutorials, and it's all just gameplay, and it's really good gameplay. It is a, collectum platformer, as a lot of people have joked, all it took for a Game of the Year contender from a Sony first party this year was to make Mario Galaxy 3. Because it really does have that vibe. You go through space, you unlock new galaxies, which contain different little planets that you go on. The planets are all themed to specific, like, biomes or arguably, like, video game type genres. There's, the desert one with, lots of flowing sand. There's a couple of snowy ice ones. There's some beach ones with, pirate ships and stuff. There is a volcano level. There's several spooky ghost levels, all that kind of stuff, right? So, like, it has all the environments you'd want. The graphics are good, but not, like, I think, cutting edge. Instead, what they do with, like, that processing power is they'll actually render you a lot of objects on screen, assuming there's no, like, double secret numbers or anything they're counting. The total number of bots that you can rescue in the game is 300, and if you go back to your, like, hub area, all those fucking guys can show up on screen. Okay, so there are some extra numbers. Is that accounting for, like, the ones you can get through, like, playing Astro's Playroom and stuff? Or is that actually in the game they've got extra numbers? Okay, there is a 301st extra. 4 of them are from Playroom. Okay. But, like, all those fucking guys can be rendered on screen, follow you around, and do, like, little animations. There's a lot of really interesting stuff with, like, objects like gems, bananas, balls, little animal enemies and stuff that, like, rotate around you. And so, like, it's a game that, like, looks good, feels good, sounds good without trying too hard to, like, be mega cutting edge. I would personally not say it's my game of the year just because Final Fantasy VII Rebirth did come out this year. And playing both games, I do think that ultimately my opinion is that, for me, Rebirth has more payoff. But that's because Rebirth is, the middle entry in a trilogy of games remaking a, classic fundamental nostalgia game for me. And while I don't want to say Astro Bot does not have its fair share of nostalgia, and I do want to talk about, like, the sheer breadth of like, cameos and references this game has, like I said, there's not really story or character to chew on for me, so, like, Rebirth scores higher for me, but I can see people making the decision that it doesn't, especially if you are not, like, 100% into that style Square has for Remake and Rebirth as RPGs. Like, Astro Bot is, like I said, way more video gamey. It's a beautiful, wonderful game, and I'm glad it exists. I was, peer pressured into buying it because everybody was having a good time, but it was absolutely worth it, and continues to be worth it. Like I said, I'm gonna, if we're not doing Civ or something later, I'll probably go back to picking up some entrants in there. Usually when we talk about our full thoughts on a game, we talk a little bit about mechanics. It's pretty straightforward. You cannot double jump per se, but you can hover. Something that I kept forgetting about is that your hovers are explicitly laser beams, so it is also an attack and can be used for other environmental interactions. But it's important to remember. You have, basic square punches. You can do charge up for a spin attack, which lasts longer and, spins around more. I will say that, in its simplicity, there are some kind of, like, underutilized things. You don't really use triangle or circle a lot. They're mostly for menu interactions and a couple of, key field interactions are key to triangle. I personally kind of wish there was kind of a way to, like, speed up. Not even necessarily a dash, though I wouldn't have minded that, but, like, just, like, something very classic Mario, like, if you hold the stick in a direction, you start picking up speed after a little while, or doing, like, Mario's triple jump. Astro doesn't really do that, but you're fairly sprightly, you've got some decent jump clearance, you've got plenty of sensitivity. They do really great stuff with, like, I guess the best equivalent would be, like, in these kinds of games, the, like, world-specific power-ups, like Mario getting, like, certain flowers and stuff. They've got a wide variety of those. They do make sure to use all of them, I think, multiple times. And they have, I think, various and fun mechanics. You can get, frog punching gloves, which you can use to, beat up enemies, but also reach out and grab stuff. You can get, back monkey, a literal monkey on your back, but he's a robot, so he can pick stuff up and throw it. Or you can use him to, like, climb handholds that are farther away. And all of this with the DualShock 5 feels very good. I did just personally, because of the sake that I don't, like, sit dead on my, TV and stuff, I turned off the, like, motion control type stuff for the controller segments and just did it with the stick. But both ways, like, feel good. So, you can fly around a little, and do certain segments and things. There's some various, there may be one. There are a couple I saw in the credits that aren't really brought up. But, like, for the most part, it seems like all the classics get, utilized at least a couple of times. But yeah, you just do all the normal stuff. They have an obligatory time stop stuff. So I guess the other thing I want to talk about then, besides just game good, it play good, it look good, is, like, the effort they've done to also make this basically a walking, talking museum of the PlayStation brand. Obviously, your mothership is a PS5. That's cool. But there are a lot of the little bot cameos. Every stage has a number of things for you to collect, because it's, one of them platformy collecty type games. You will usually have a certain number of bots in it, and there are both generic bots and... do they actually have again, there's, like, so little text in this game. Do they have do they say in-game, like, what the term is for cameos? They're marked specially. You can tell it's a cameo bot because it'll have little face buttons, the X, square, triangle, circle next to them. But there are little, special bots. There are also puzzle pieces that you can collect to unlock stuff. And rather than just be pure collectibles, I really like the puzzle pieces because they unlock fun gameplay features that are optional but cool. So if you collect enough puzzle pieces, you complete a puzzle, you will unlock, the gachapon machine. What does that do? Oh, well, you pull it and spend, 100 coins each time. Yes, they have little PlayStation coins. And you get little capsules that you can crack open, and those have either little accessories to get, like, extra animations and fun stuff out of your cameos, but also can have, when you unlock those, eventually can have costumes and skins for your dual speeder. Your little spaceship is called the dual speeder. It's your DualSense controller, but it has rockets on it, which I don't think my normal DualSense controller has. And those are things that you also unlock. You unlock your dual speeder garage, which lets you choose paint schemes. They've got a wide variety of them. They have several metallics. They've got a couple of multicolor comps. They've got some good ones for just all your natural rainbow colors. Very good purple in there. They've got some strong red, good reddish orange. All that fun stuff. And there is a costume shop as well, where you get to pick up costumes. You get a couple by default, and you can get some extras, I believe, also through having Astro's Playroom data, but the rest are all in the gachapon machine. And I haven't gotten enough puzzle pieces to unlock whatever the final puzzle is, but there's also a little photo mode area, which unlocks actually gives you the screenshot photo mode as an unlock, So, like, they do a really good job of making these things you can work for, but also they're not needed. You don't need photo mode. Well, yeah, there's a lot of puzzle pieces. We'll get in there. We'll get them all. So yeah, you got things to collect. Some of these are normal bots. They have generic bots, but a lot of these are the little cameos. And man, the cameos, chat. There's so many. Obviously, there's a lot of Sony first-party titles. In fact, I don't really know if it's a spoiler to say this, but there is a formatting thing you'll see it comes along. Every Galaxy ends. Well, it doesn't end, but there's a boss fight you unlock. That unlocks a major Sony franchise cameo character that unlocks a second level, which is all inspired by current big... Well, actually, I shouldn't say current big. One of them is fucking Ape Escape. But notably really big PlayStation franchises with lots of extra characters you can pick up. Like, you'll go to one area, you'll defeat a boss, you'll get the Dad of Boy bot, because none of them actually use their character names, but they're all very obvious who they're supposed to be. And then you go to the follow-up level. That level is just an homage to the, Santa Monica new God of War games with, lots of extra characters. You can get the bot who's just called Boy, and lots of other unlocks. It's interesting to me that I think aesthetically the theming of it is very much the first, the new God of War, but they do include Ragnarok characters. You can, pick up Angrboda and Thor, for instance, Thrud. I mean, I don't know if we would say Lokorovo, we were talking about defining the Vita era or the PSP. But yeah, no, they're very strong candidates of, like, where they were at in history. So they have, like, these big, strong ones. There's an entire Uncharted level full of Uncharted characters, and they blare the Uncharted theme the whole way. That kind of stuff. Like, it's very good theming. Then also, they have a lot of third-party cameos as well. You've probably seen some of them on the internet, but they got a lot of deep cuts. I mean, they have a lot of deep cuts with first-party titles. You would expect, like, there's plenty of homage to Sucker Punch's various titles, all the way back to Sly, obviously, but also, you can pick up a protagonist from each one of the infamous games, and their various set pieces, and also, even so far as to, there's, a little, I think is he just called the Ghost? There's a little Jinsakai, who, by the way, when you get his extra out of the gachapon machine, it's a hot spring or a bath that he chills in. It's good work. Gravity Rush was a big one for the Vita, and they do have Gravity Rush characters in here, but it's, like I said, there are some very interesting choices. And I want to say, talking about, like, collaboration, like, you would be surprised about what kind of guys are very open-ended about this. I mean, it makes sense, but, hey, they've got a bot that represents each of the big PlayStation Persona titles, one for 3, 4, and 5. There are a shitload of Metal Gear, like, cameos. Early you can get, Snake, Psycho Mantis, and the Cyborg Ninja, but you can also pick up a big boss and a Revengeance era Raiden, so you remember that one. There is also other Konami stuff. There's a couple of Castlevania cameos. There's a shitload of Capcom. There's, like, a whole little area in your hub for all your Resident Evil friends. Obviously, there are other Sega titles besides just Atlas ones, because Kazuma Kiryu is in this game.
What? Really?
Yeah, no, there's a Kazuma Kiryu bot.
Well,
what's his title? Legendary Dragon, is it?
I mean, it did get started on the PS2.
No, and I think it is a. I would associate that as a classic PlayStation franchise. Like, it's, like you said, it got started on the PS2, and while I know that, like, I think, like, through Game Pass and PS Plus, like, most of those games are accessible, like, pretty evenly on both consoles. Like, it's a classic reach. His little accessory you can get is the fucking big archway of Kamurocho. It's great. there are also, like, at no point, by the way, did any of these, like, super big Konami cameos stop them also from including Sam Porter Bridges, Death Stranding. Like, so, you know, there's great work there. And obviously, I think they also have they have the classic, you know, collectathon mascots from days past. There is a Jack, there is, you know, Ratchet, there is Crash Bandicoot. You know, like I said, I mentioned earlier, you can get Sly, you can get all the Sucker Punch guys. You know, we have all these great touches. There's an area where they did not forget that Killzone exists. You can actually pay. I will say it's very funny. I haven't seen any of the player characters from Killzone. The Killzone cameo bots are you just get 3 Helghast grunts who are titled slightly differently. But, I mean, they're very iconic. Obviously, for their big franchises, they have a shitload of big characters. You know, like I said, Horizon has a big area. Ape Escape has a lot of apes you can collect. You know, lots of Uncharted characters. But there's so many. And there's some, you know, that are even too obscure for me to get. You know, like there are, I think, a lot of different, like, RPG protagonists and stuff who pop in. The Stellar Blade team is thanked in the credits, but there aren't any Stellar Blade bots in. But no, like, the game is such a wonderful send-up, and it activates that nostalgia center so deep when you just find a little guy you recognize, you know? Like, I can talk about this because it's also, I think, a very funny clip on Twitter and YouTube that got punched out. But, like, Made Mints, a VTuber, she's well known for being a big Metal Gear head. There's a clip of her first finding Snake in the game, and she's just, like, freaking out. But, like, it's the kind of moment you have. You see fucking a little guy in your tree, and, like, holy shit, is that Snake? You get him down, you catch him, and it says, Legendary Mercenary, was a terrible child, and you're just like, hee hee. That is, I think, Astro Bot's secret. Like, Astro Bot is a game that when you play it, it makes you go, hee hee. It just fills you with that childlike joy. I will say, the one thing that is interesting and a little sad to me is that, I will say, at this time, there are no Square Enix properties in this game. I do not know if, like, as a marketing thing, because Square said earlier this year they are stepping away from exclusivity, that they did not want to be seen in this celebration, or if because they do their own, like, nostalgia bait stuff, they were charging too much money. I don't know, but it is, like, I think a big block of PlayStation history that feels like it's missing. I'm hoping that they see how, like, successful this game is and are thinking if they did, like, fully skip, like, shit, man, we gotta get on that. This is a great celebration of history that we can also exploit. But, you know, like, lacking there, it does kind of feel like it is you know, a missing element, because there's a lot of stuff you might and might not expect. There's a little Demon Souls guy, and obviously there is a Bloodborne cameo because that's technically owned by Sony. Bloodborne is both you can get the Hunter from Bloodborne as both a standalone bot and also as a costume. And like I said, this acknowledges a lot of franchise you thought that people wouldn't. Like I said, Killzone, Bloodborne, all of them are acknowledged here, and Square's kind of missing. So I do hope that they are willing to play a little ball, and that hopefully this game is financially successful enough to maybe greenlight that. Because, like, honestly, there's enough stuff in there that I would associate with the classic PlayStation history that they could do a whole cameo world or more of, because, like, you got a lot you can do with that, because I think that, like, once they switch to PlayStation, there's a lot of iconic Final Fantasy stuff alone you could bring to this game. Like, obviously, your basic starter pack, you probably have a bot who's just Cloud, you know, because that was a big move in the switch to 3D was 7, but also 8 and 9 were big sellers. Obviously, for, you know, 10 was a major jump on the PS2. You could probably do Tidus or Yuna. And I think that, you know, 13 was like a major jumping up point for the PS3. Include Lightning. And I think that it wasn't perfect, because I think this is when they did drop exclusivity, but, like, 15 I think was a big push for PS4. And obviously 16 started as a PlayStation exclusive, so, like, it's very odd to like be missing this history. Obviously, I believe that also that I think that means there's no, because I'm pretty sure Square has control of these. I haven't found them anyway. I don't think there's any, like, near. I could be missing because I don't have all the bots, but I would. Yeah, there's no near. Okay, I was thinking that. That's another one that's like, man, that would just that would just feel right to have a little tiny 2B robot, and because that's another thing that I think of as a big slice
Honestly,
of like PlayStation history.
I would not personally. Not Nier, because I believe Nier was actually did also release on the Xbox originally, along with the PS2 version.
I could see maybe them switching out, but I don't know. I do, at least Automata, I do kind of feel like that is in their wheelhouse, but they don't have to. Like I said, I think just the PlayStation ones are big. The Kingdom Hearts one is another one that's odd because that was exclusive for a long time. That one I can understand though, because that's like a fucking double whammy of like, you gotta talk to Square, but then you also have to talk to Disney, possibly through Square.
I would not want to do that. I'm gonna be real.
No, even if I was Sony, I don't know if I would want to go to the House of Mouse. But it is another one that feels like it's missing a little. Like again, I'm hopeful that they can expand this a little with it, because this game is going to be hopefully so successful, and it does seem like they have some DLC plans, and they got a lot of like wiggle room in the UI for it. But yeah, there are some slots on the Square side that are missing, but otherwise it's just a fun little game, guys. It's just a fun little game.
The one I do want, though, from Yogotaro, though, is giving my Dragon Guard. Dragon Guard, I think, Dragon Guard 1 and 2 was on the PS2. I don't know if Dragon Guard 3 made it off the PS3. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let me double check real quick here. Yeah, no, it was only on the PS3. So, yes, no, all of Dragon Guard is, PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, that would be another good one. But that was it also published through Square?
Dragon Guard was published... Yeah, through Square.
Yeah, published by Square Enix, yeah. So, sadly, I don't think any of those are gonna make it.
Well, see, the joke's on you, Legendary. I have a working PS3, launch PS3, and I have Dragon Guard 1 and 3, so...
Yes, a classic.
Not my problem.
But yeah, no, it's such a love letter, and like they do such a great job with the power-ups. Each one of the like big homage levels also gives you like an extra mechanic. Like the very first one you get is you go to the Ape Escape cameo world, and you get a net to catch apes with. When you do the God of War level, you get the axe, which you can throw and also hit people with. All kinds of stuff. So like it's just a fun time. I'm very interested in doing. I was also broke ass, but I saved up. I think I was like 12 when the PS3 launched. I'm not gonna say the PS3 is not expensive, but we made it work. Admittedly, I made it work through not having a lot of other expenses to worry about. But I scrimped and saved. But yeah, no, like Astro Bot's really good. If you have a PlayStation 5, you should try it. It is probably going to be a very strong contender for Game of the Year. And I suspect it may end up winning just on volume of, like, the things that I would say put Rebirth above Astro Bot for me may put Astro Bot above Rebirth for, like, the general populace and panelists because, like, Astro Bot is such a concise love letter to video games as a whole that it seems perfectly placed to win Game of the Year. Of course you want to say it's the game of this year because it's like a celebration of games past. And like I said, including plenty of third-party titles who are no longer exclusive. Like I said, I was pleasantly surprised and very happy that there were Persona cameos in this because I think of those as PlayStation games. But also I'm very annoyed because, like, P3R very definitely has a, like, even if it's only 24 hours, like, a exclusivity window where they say that it's on Xbox only. I have to wait a day for PlayStation to post a trailer because Atlas is like, Xbox.
Money.
We're very sorry. Microsoft handed us their last dollars before they had to lay off like 400 people to buy our advertising exclusivity because Sega won't sell them just Atlas. But yeah, no, it's just a really good time, and I heartily recommend it to everybody. And like honestly, especially because we have been proven that while Mr. Mosquito is coming out, Sly 2 is not coming out this month. I can honestly see me just playing it again as a run for a stream game in a couple of weeks because it'll probably take one more week to finish off Titanfall 2. I'll ask the people at home if they're interested in that sort of thing. Because hey, it's got 3 save slots. But yeah, no, it's a great stuff. There's several Sega characters, Which one are you thinking of? Oh, also I should say, I'm very glad to see they have representatives of all the, what's the studio that makes Shadow of the Colossus? They are Team Eco. I was like, okay. Oh, okay, and they were through the Japan studio as well, which is now closed down. Okay, but all the Team Eco games have cameos. Oh, yes, I remember seeing that one on Twitter, and that was another one that people got really deep cut. I don't think I've found them in-game yet. I'm hunting down all my bots. But yeah, so Astro Bot, good game. Good-ass game. Great PlayStation 5 game. Is like super celebratory to everywhere. And honestly, I I don't know how you see it coming off the PS5 because it's like such a Sony-pilled game that I don't... Yes, you could probably make more money by selling it on Steam, but like, would it have the same effect? I don't know. I know you can use your PS5 controller on a PC pretty easily, at least. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, but no, it's great stuff. That does kind of lead me to. I guess I should give a final rating. I should say, which is definitely like, hey, top dollar, 90%. Like I said, I think Rebirth is still my game of the year, but that's because that was a whole ass emotional experience. One doesn't say that Astro Bot isn't an emotional experience, but it's very different. Well, they probably would. But yeah, so Sony had a pretty good start of the week of production to this. And then they did stick their foot in their mouth a little by having that announcement out of nowhere about the PS5 Pro, which has been interesting, to say the least. So I want to say at the front here, I don't think I'm going to get a PS5 Pro anytime soon. Lucky, do you think you're gonna pick up a PS5 Pro?
Not if it doesn't come with a disc drive.
No, you have to pay an extra $80 for the disc drive. I will say, I do at least appreciate that Sony does sell an add-on disc drive if you start discless and want to expand later. But if we're talking about a model that is ostensibly replacing your basic premium PS5, because the discless version is sold at a slight discount, not coming with a disc drive is not great. Not coming with a stand is not great. Like, I literally don't know if I have enough room in my entertainment setup if it can't stand straight up, which is a separate cell. So no, I'm not planning on getting it. But also, because the internet is an incredibly incendiary place, instead of just going, nah, man, I don't think I'm going to buy it, there are a lot of people out there acting like the PS5 Pro, like, killed their dog, which I laugh at because it is absurd, but, like...
Me, personally, I enjoy physical media, so I'm not going to pay money for something that doesn't have a disc drive, and then they want me to pay more so I can actually do the thing I want. But if it did come with a disc drive at, like, the price point it was, yes, I'd probably be getting it. Reviews are coming out. I believe Digital Foundry, who is owned by IGN, saying that the power that this thing puts out is comparable to PCs that go like $1,500 to $2,000. So
yeah, this is the thing. The price point for console gaming and for like approachable is like, it's rough. A lot of people are making jokes about what you can get for $700.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like people, it's one of those things, right, where I don't feel like people are making the right argument. Like, they're trying to justify it to themselves that they don't want to make this purchase, which you don't have to do. You other than the fact that our capitalist society requires you to exchange money units to feed yourself and like live places and get utilities, because not all of us are equipped to live in the woods. You don't have to buy anything. You are not legally required to purchase a PS5 Pro, so you can just say, nah, too expensive, skip it. And like I said, I don't think the price point is correct. I'm not quite sure who they are marketing this to. Like, I probably would have rounded it off at the 50, like maybe like 650, or even go all the way down to like 600 flat, because you're going to offer the disc drive, which is separate but is an add-on. And God knows, like, the common wisdom previously to this is that consoles are sold at a loss. So like, God knows what their cost per unit is to manufacture this thing, or like how bad it is for them to like streamline the packaging process to even make it this price that they can't put the fucking vertical stand in the box. Like, I don't think that's them trying to be money grubbing. I think that's them trying to shave every bit of extra cost they can off making this thing. Like the disc drive, yeah, that probably is like a cost-cutting measure on production for them that they can turn into a profit on the back end. But like, also I suspect there's some sick ass like they have to be streamlining this production process a lot. But like I said, people are thinking about the price and they're trying to like justify to themselves why they can't or don't want to buy it. And it's weird because like I see a lot of people arguing the price is bad. It's extra bad in Japan. It's like 120k yen. For some people
Jesus.
that's like a monthly salary. Like it's the price is very bad. It's also like $6.99 in pounds, which is also crazy because of like the higher value level of the pound, shit like that. So like, yeah, it seems like it's only very aggressively priced in like America and maybe euros. So like, I don't know what the price point is, but a lot of people are like, hey, for that much money, you could just buy a cheap PC that'll run way more games than a PS5. That's not the target audience, though. The point isn't that a PS5 Pro plays more games for that price point. The point is that it plays games better for that price point, and I do actually think, performance-wise, it is still a better budget option than a comparable performance you would get out of a higher-end gaming PC.
I do want to say,
yeah, go ahead.
I do want to say, yes, you could probably play a lot more games on the PC, but you'd be playing a whole lot of shitty games on PC with, reduced settings.
Yes, you'd be paying them on lower end settings, because like you can get something with like a 1080 for cheap ass. Like people being like, I can buy a Steam Deck. You're not getting fucking 120 frames, 4K display on your Steam Deck, I don't think, buddy. I'm pretty sure that's not how it works. Yes, of course you can get a Steam Deck for cheap, but that's like telling me I can buy like 2 Nintendo Switches for a PS5 Pro. Yeah, I can. And if I play the wrong game on my Switch, it's gonna like explode. Because the Switch is an incredibly outdated piece of hardware. And obviously, like, I think it'll be very funny when Nintendo announces their price point for the Switch 2. That is true, X, but also very funny. You could win a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament for a Switch.
That includes that I have to win a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament, and I do not want to go up against those people.
That's fair. But yeah, no. Switch game's great. The Switch itself, not a great piece of hardware. Hopefully the Switch 2 is good. We have gotten basically, like, up until they actually announced the damn thing, I think we've gotten our best confirmation from, like, tech specialists and people demoing it that it's gonna be backwards compatible. It's you're gonna take Switch 1 carts and put them in the Switch 2. It's just gonna have revamped hardware specs. So, like, there's definitely some wiggle room there. I also want to say that people talking about, like double-checking, like, patents and stuff, it sounds like Sony has also, like, dropped patents for another new, like, handheld device. So either there's going to be like an upgraded like portal to go with the Pro, or they are actually planning another PSP type device. Don't know, but apparently there's some tech stuff they're kicking around in the back end. But yeah, the people I think are I do not think that at the price point it's at, with the way they announced it, the PS5 Pro is necessarily being marketed correctly. On stream, they showed us a lot of graphic comparisons, which don't really look like anything. You're watching a YouTube stream or a Twitch stream. You can't tell the difference. And I think that leaning into like that extra display stuff is like, that is better because like, it's funny to me just how short people's memories are, right? Like, I swear to God, every time either a PS5 exclusive or just a game that is coming to consoles as well as PC comes out, and the developers talk about, hey, on console, you've got two choices. You can do 60 frames performance mode or 30 frames graphical mode. I hear people being like, this is unbelievable. It's unacceptable. I can't believe a game made in the year 2020X only runs at 30 frames per second. How dare you? You spit in my sandwich. Like, I don't know why I'm describing internet journalists and Twitter freaks as, like, talking like Gordon Ramsay, but that's how it feels, It's bland. These graphics are very bland. So, hey, guess what? The PS5 Pro is the device that fixes that. That probably means that 60 frames performance is going to be the minimum, and they might be able to crank it to, like, 120. You have to pay extra for that. That's how it works. If they could have made it do those things on the cheap, they would have done it already. Like, I mean, this is literally why the Switch is so cheap. The Switch is built with, like, a processor that's, like, two pieces of tinfoil held together by gum. I don't think NVIDIA even makes the chipset that goes in a Switch normally, Oh, and I like and Lucky brought up Digital Foundry earlier, like talking about them actually talking about how the Pro is an improvement. Which, by the way, I saw that tweet. People are in those guys' replies, like, again, telling them that they're like killed their dog, or like actually telling them to pay the extra money for the Pro. No, they're just Digital Foundry's just reporting to you that, hey, the PS5 Pro does what it says it does. Apparently, it runs Rebirth, for example, which is one of the games that's going to have that boosted graphics, like, really well. If you thought that running in, like, performance mode was very blurry, or you couldn't stand, going only to 30 frames, hey, the PS5 Pro will do that. And you'll probably be able to do that on PC if you have a nice PC already, but sometimes people don't have nice PCs, and, like, it's weird to me that it's so expensive in Japan, because I feel like this probably is poised for, like, the Japanese market if it worked, like, if it was priced aggressively, because PC gaming in Japan is, like, blowing up, but they still don't have, like, accessing high-quality PC shit is expensive still. So, like, they're getting, like, booms in, like, low-end PCs and Steam Decks and shit. So, like, making something that could compete with that in PlayStation form probably will work, but it is a sticker shock. Like I said, I don't agree with the pricing, but it exists. So like I said, this is why I don't know necessarily who the market is, because like I feel like a lot of people who can justify paying for a PS5 and want a PS5 got a PS5. I know we had to fight about it for that lowered stock, but yeah, it's in there. You know. Oh, I mean, I still think for now they will probably try and like still release like an optional disc drive, like even if it's a bolt-on. We'll see. I think if we're at the Pro stage, we're probably only like actually 50-ish% way through this console generation. I think it's going to be a long generation because COVID fucked up a lot of shit. There was a lot of like semiconductor delays that were temporarily caused a lot of production. And also just, we're reaching a diminishing returns level on graphics. Like, the amount of stuff that you can make a computer display that you can also, like, program that high fidelity and get a fucking TV or monitor that will display it is becoming more and more challenging. So, like, I think it will probably be a while before we get a PS6. Like, they'll do it, but it'll be a long tail, I think. But like I said, the Pro is in a weird space because it's a little too expensive to, like, if you were going to get a PS5 and you haven't gotten a PS5 yet, say, for instance, you want to play Astro Bot, you're just going to buy a normal PS5. You know, you're not going to get the extra, go for the Pro. But if you were, like, one of those people who were looking at Rebirth being like, man, this performance mode's too blurry. It sucks. Unplayable. You probably are the kind of person who would buy a beefy PC and would rather play it there. So it does feel like this product doesn't necessarily have a market. Like, it doesn't have an audience, doesn't have a home, but also, like, I don't know, man, people are so entitled about not being the market this product is going for, you know?
I blame the internet.
It's still a little, it feels weird to me. It doesn't feel correct, but it shouldn't, because I feel like that is a lot of how our discourse goes. Like, if a product is not made to appeal to you, people feel personally attacked. They feel like they gotta fight about it, as opposed to just going, oh, well, I'll find something else to do. Like, yeah, if you want to buy a cheap PC instead of buying a PS5 Pro, go for it. I can tell you for sure, the PS5 Pro is significantly less expensive than my new ass PC, as I stare at its fucking RGB fans whirling. Obviously, I do a lot of other stuff with this PC. It's made, you know, even with like basic bitch tools, like rendering, exporting videos a lot faster and other shit, and you know, it does other stuff for me. But it also is branded anyway as a gaming PC, and it's been doing that pretty robustly. And I didn't even, like, get, like, super fancy, you know? But, like, it still set me back quite a bit more than hypothetically buying a PS5 Pro would. And I do want to say, like, I feel like they're not necessarily, like leaning into the right aspects. If I saw this reported right, they're saying it's got, like, a 2 terabyte SSD. That's pretty good. That sounds like good storage for that price point. And you need it if you're going all digital. But still, it walks the walk, but it don't talk the talk, I guess is the analogy I want to use. It seems like a product that does the thing it's trying to do, but people don't want that, I guess. Which is fair. You know, the economy's in shambles. Not really in shambles, but, like, inflation sucks ass right now. Lots of stuff is expensive. You know, literally I'm out here, you know, paying, quite a significant upkeep for, like, you know, gallon of milk, dozen eggs kind of shit. Rent is too damn high. Yeah, housing is sucked ass. And we could use some reform in that aspect. Though I do not necessarily agree with presidential candidate's Trump plan, which is to make housing more affordable by deregulating it. That doesn't sound like a good idea. They used to put asbestos in houses. Also, I've lived in Florida. I'm gonna tell you, if such a thing happened, you don't want to buy any house in Florida. If they didn't change building codes to, like, put your house pad, like, 3 feet up, the first hurricane that comes through, your ass is gonna be underwater. You are gonna become under the water, okay? You won't be playing your PS5 Pro unless your PS5 Pro is waterproof, you know what I'm saying? Not a great idea, but, you know, I hope that maybe somebody in government can stop shit-fighting about other stuff that's blatantly not true, and, like, actually do something about us little Americans. Otherwise, we may have to rise up and eat the politicians. Sadly, they will probably not taste good. But that slightly anarchical statement aside, yeah, I don't know. The PS5 Pro doesn't have a good price point for our current, like, economic situation, but I think it does the thing that it's advertised to do. And like I said, it's been a little weird to me to see people, like, so, like, personally freaked out. And I do want to say that, like, some people came at Jeff Keighley because he posted a lot of pro tweets. Hey, guess what? Jeff Keighley's account is secretly his advertising account for the Game Awards, which he also has been bringing up, like, just 3 months away. So, guess what? Daddy Jeff needs money. He can't afford that theater in LA every year if Sony doesn't throw him a buck, you know? But actually, I have to double check if the math he posted was correct, but he did post a post about, like, adjusting for inflation, and the price of a PS5 Pro is not terribly off like a PS3. It's not that much more expensive than previous generations either. The PS3 was also probably priced too high, but, like, I owned one. I didn't have to worry about, buying milk and shit for myself. Yeah, I don't know. I think, especially because they've done this song and dance before, I think Sony understands that they have to be careful not to overprice a console. Like, they know that really fucked them in the ass in the PS3 era, and the PS4 was such a strong comeback. Excuse me, by the way, sorry, I burped mid-sentence. That, like, they really understood how to do that clawback, and I feel like the PS5 era has been, like, good, but not great as far as, like, the actual hardware itself. Like, I mean, it's backwards compatible with the PS4. They're doing a lot of work to bring 2 and 3 titles digitally, and PS1 titles digitally. I think, like, PS Plus is a pretty decent investment. You get a handful of free games and all that stuff, and, like, if you want to go the extra level, you get more games. But they don't do every game day and date because we have, like, empirical evidence that hurts game sales and the money that the studios make, They've had some blunders. Very funny post circulating from Dixerto that apparently exactly 69 people got the Platinum Trophy for Concord before it closed.
Nice.
Very fun. So, like, they've had some blunders, but they've also had some pretty strong contenders. And I've heard rumors before the announcement that a lot of Sony's big, like, studio titles and guys were, like, holding back announcements until after the PS5 Pro was announced and, like, planned to come out, because maybe they are planning on advertising some extra spicy features for this new hardware. So we'll see, I guess, but I am hoping that they aren't dumb enough to backslide. It reminds me, somebody said that, like, man, I'm glad that, like, even if they're terrible, Xbox is still in this competition because it means, Sony can't be cruising scot-free, which I guess is correct. I don't think that Xbox is doing a very good job of being competition right now. Like, honestly, I think if the Xbox Series X was and Microsoft was a better competitor, the PS5 Pro might be cheaper. Like if Sony thought they had to fight tooth and nail, they might have tried a little harder to sell you that one. But the Xbox is in a bad state. I think they just announced, like I joked about earlier. I really shouldn't joke. My feelings do go out to you if you've been laid off by being scooped up by the Xbox engine. But I think they announced they're laying off like 400 people or something in another round of layoffs. Like, it's bad. It's bad over there, y'all. 600, Jesus. Criminy Christmas. Yeah, it's what we call not good. It's not very good. So yeah, like, Xbox is kind of limping along in here, and I think that, like, for realsies, Sony's actual competition is gaming PCs. And technically, I think the PS5 Pro is aggressively priced for that. But I do know that, like, having made the jump to a higher-end PC myself, it is a hard pill to swallow those prices when you're used to console prices, especially because God knows what the fucking Switch 2 will be priced at, right? What's the current price of a Switch? It's been years since I bought one. Switch Family, Nintendo official site. Show me the prices. Okay, $350 for the new OLED, $29.99 for the full normal Switch, and then $199 for the Lite, which is portable only. No, that's good. Yeah, I expect that the Switch 2 will probably also be $350 or be maybe $400 if they think they can get away with it. But what's the actual base price of a PS5 though? You can also tell it's been fucking years since I bought mine. I do not remember how much money I spent on it. Yeah, I could see. And then maybe if they do the Lite again, that would be like $300. I could see it. Yeah, so the slim model with the disc drive is also $499, so it's $500. And I think that means that the discless is going to be $450-ish. Yeah. So yeah, no. I think they gotta. So yeah, I think even with that price hike to like be $400, I think the Switch 2 will also be aggressively priced. But I also don't actually know how much Sony necessarily considers himself in competition with the Switch. You know, it has slightly different vibes. But depending on what they pack into a Switch 2, it might actually be a competitor. We'll see. But yeah, yapping about the Sony PlayStation is taking the raw audio to about 2 hours. It's hot in here. I don't got anything else. Look, anything else going on with you entertainment-wise? Any stuff you're doing? I know you're still framing.
Yes, I'm still framing. Lot and Aaron have been putting in the time where they can. Like I said, I have been working on a few Civ games. Aaron actually went and did some goddamn detective work.
Did some science.
Yeah, did some science. I don't know if this has actually come up on one of our shows or not. But when we usually play Civ, it's usually 3 or 4 of us. We get together, and I usually like to play a religious-based Civ. I usually like to go religious and culture routes. And recently, I've been really down on Hojo Takamune, who is you need coastlines to really get him going started. And on the past several games I've been trying to play him, they have constantly been sticking my character in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Usually next to a natural wonder. We usually have legendary starts because I'm one of those people who is we don't need to be suffering in the first 100 turns, y'all. Really, it's gonna be hard enough as it is when there's barbarian camps popping up every fucking 10 turns.
Not even 10 turns. I feel like at the end of that last game, they were literally we would destroy a camp and the timer would be next turn. Hello, it's a barbarian camp.
Hello, it's the Grey Rat Clan. We just killed the Grey Rat Clan. It's us again. We moved. How did neighbors die?
We're the Dead Sea Clan. Didn't I literally just kill you guys 5 minutes ago? Yeah, sucks to suck, my guy. Boats, 10,000 boats.
But I'm talking about we've been having several games where I was not starting by a coastline, and so Aaron and we play with mods. We play with a lot of mods because, well, frankly, mod's good. And
wonders,
so
UI and balance fixes, other shit.
Yeah. But also, mod's bad, because apparently some of these mods were fucking with the starting position bias. This is something I didn't actually realize, but some civilizations have biases for their starting location. Hojo Takamune apparently is supposed to have a level 2 or level 3 coastal bias, which, means more often than not, you should start by a coastline when you start the game. And the other one that he toasted was John Curtin, who loves the place because it's Australia.
And Australia also needs coasts.
And Australia also needs coasts, and I believe he has the tier higher. I think it goes level 1, 2, 3, with 1 being the highest. And he found out that with some of our mods, out of 5 games, we would get 0 coastal, he'd get 0 coastal, starts, and then when he turned off some of the mods, you get 4 to 5 coastal starts. So that's interesting. I have been playing I think I turned off the mod that he said that it was doing it, and I've been getting more coastal starts. And so that's fun. If we want to play Civ later, I'll be down. But I do believe that Aaron's at his Pathfinder game. He just posted in our secret table.
Yes. We'll see. I don't think is Loth awake yet. Is he online? Not yet. So we'll see when the Loth is roused. We got the stuff. Yeah. We can try it out.
We can try it out. And like I said, because I do enjoy playing Civ. It's I put I think I have I'm 5 hours into a single player game right now on the Prince difficulty, Warlord difficulty, because I'm absolutely clowning on everyone else.
Yeah, hey, Civilization, it's fun, but it is also one of those things where it, and this is the reason why I think those leaders have those biases. It is RNG dependent to get those extra gas early, and it is funny to me to see the difference, because honestly, I've had spawns that are not good to my Civ several times, but you keep having the problem, Lucky, where you'll be start Japan, which needs coasts, specifically Tokamune, and then it's good, I'm in a desert or a tundra, which sucks. There's not good food there. It's very bad. Literally, I think there are some desert tiles which do nothing. So I've tried playing Britain or Canada, which want some of those things coastlines or access to tundra and stuff as well, cold rivers. And I've gotten some rivers, but I keep getting spawned in rainforests, which sucks for mobility, but there's a lot of resources in rainforest. There's a lot of extra food on those tiles and shit. So it hasn't actually seriously slowed my Civ production to be in those bad spots, but technically I was getting bad spots myself. And it's interesting to see those little differences. And there are other times where it's been kind of the other way. I do think that it has leaned towards putting you in a bad spot more, but sometimes it has done very weird things to the rest of us. Honestly, thinking back, I think that my spawn is, I think it was our last 3-person game with Loth. Me as playing as Rome, as Trajan, I I had a shitload of gold, but I was also in the middle of a desert. Like, I actually had some problems growing some of those cities. It didn't really matter because I was able to levy my Roman bullshit of starting with monuments and extra builders and stuff to just, like, do some heavy-duty city production. But, like, honestly, thinking back, that was probably kind of a bad spawn. I got a shitload of money from all that gold, but the people, they hungered. They can't eat gold. But yeah, Civ fun. We'll see if we can get some later. And if not, it's okay.
But yes, like there's a current the current single player game I think is like clocked in at like 7 hours right about now. And I do believe I have discovered the radio at what was this 900 AD. And I'm just like
yeah, we can do some really fucked up shit.
Well, like I said, I have the snowball effect happening in the other game, so like my culture and science is almost like 2 to 3 times of everyone else. I'm just like, God damn. It's like, it's me. I'm the one fucking everything up. Ugh. But other than that, I've been trying a few new games here and there. I have not been watching anime recently, and this is actually something that's starting to bother me a little bit. I don't know what it is, but I've been trying to like pull something up, and nothing new's really been grabbing me. I'm hoping that when we get over to the new core, I can get back into it, because I don't know. I think I'm just like been playing games too much recently, like whether it be Warframe or playing Warframe or Civ, the Final Fantasies, the Gacha. Honestly, I think it might be the Gacha mostly. I have like 5 installed because I have Snowbreak, Nikke, FGO, Azure Lane, and Blue Archive, and I'm just like, am I playing too much gacha games? Do I need to like actually like cut them down? And the problem is I don't want to cut any of them down because I do enjoy every single one of them. I'm just like,
I think 5 at the same time sounds like some of your previous peaks.
I definitely cannot pick up any more, and I don't want to. But
definitely points where I was playing 3. There was a time when I was actively doing like Azure Lane, Girls Friday Night, and FGO at the same time. And maybe I peppered in some other stuff. I've really fallen behind because I feel like just like even when they're fancier, I think that was in the pre-show, so I didn't say it on air yet. But I've uninstalled Zenless. Like I wasn't playing it at all after a while. It was just too slow. It was just too slow, and it's the same character treadmill. Also, I feel I'm starting to pick up some of what Lucky said about like the Hoyoverse fan base. It feels like it just moves in cycles, and because they keep releasing games, but like. I swear to God, it used to be Genshin. There would be a new character who was vaguely kind of hot, and the fan art would fucking blow up and then move on to the next. And then I feel like, not always, but mostly, the people who were into Genshin for that migrated to Honkai Star Rail. They would blow up whenever there was a new character there. And then now those people have migrated to Zenless, and, every time there's another new hot lady or man, the fan art blows up or whatever, and, it goes on. And I'm just like, yeah, I literally don't want to be in this cycle of just people being like, oh my God, Rat Woman, so hot, look. I'm just like, yeah, well, if I don't want to take out a loan to roll these new characters, so fuck it. And like I said, I appreciate their attempt to like stretch it out and hook me, but it just started too slow. I couldn't keep up into it, even if it was like tangentially fun to play. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like after actually finding an MMO that scratches my itch game-wise with, like, 14, gachas need to do a lot more to get my ass invested. Like, my requisite of spending gacha time is, like, well, you better hook my ass, like, pretty good pretty fast, because otherwise, you know what I could be doing with these hours? Playing award-winning MMO Final Fantasy 14. I could be grinding Goldsmith right now. I could be literally in the mines. I played my first variant dungeon a couple weeks ago, and probably would have done more if I wasn't hammering Astro Bot so hard. But, like, that's fun. You could do that shit solo. There's a lot of permutations there, man. There's 3 of those fuckers, and the Criterion versions. Like, that's so much shit I could be doing. Are you telling me I could be hanging out with Nanamo, Namo, and just, like, dunking on bosses? Shit, man. All I gotta do is pay $12 a month? Well, a little more, but, yeah.
I know. Yeah, no, like, for me, definitely, like, I'm looking at the gacha games I play, and I try to, what's the word I want to say? Identify the reason why I play them, and usually it's, one of 2 factors. Either the story is good, or the characters are hot. Usually, I bounce between that. Like, FGO, the story is good. Some of the characters are hot. Snowbreak, I have no idea what's happening in the fucking story, but the characters are hot. Azure Lane, I have no idea what's happening in the story, but the characters are hot. I know you people can come out there and tell me, like, there's, like, all these YouTube videos explaining it, but that's the thing. You have to give me a YouTube video to explain this fucking story.
Nah, man. Nah.
It's like, that's like, it's always been one of my big problems with Azure Lane, but I love the Iron Blood, and I love the Sakurai Empire, like, to death.
Their aesthetics are very strong, but yeah, I
Yes,
think that's what killed Azure Lane for me ultimately was just like, okay, you guys are gonna release Hot Ship Girls for all eternity. Why am I here? I don't know, man. We're just doing Commander stuff, and that like they lost me.
It's
whereas
like
actually no, that's right. I was up to fully 4 because Arknights was in that rotation as well. I think Girls Frontline and Arknights both lost me because they were just so depressing.
Oh yeah. And like Nikkei, I play because it has both hot characters and a good story. So I'm probably never gonna give that one up. Yeah,
I should probably. Well, I'm not right now. I know what my time is doing. But if I feel the itch to get into a gacha, I should just go back to Nikkei because I think they ironed out some of the bugs. I tried it and I liked the start, but like I said, it was still very early on in the process, and God, my phone did not like running Nikkei.
It does have a PC launcher because that's where I play it.
Then yeah, I should probably check that out, the PC version, because that's like being able to do some of these things on PC or console as well, like, does drive me. That's why I was very interested in like Zenless, because that was like on PS5 right away. Like I said, it played fun, but it was too slow, and like it didn't really goop me in fast enough. It was interesting, but yeah. I press X to doubt because no, I did not. No, I don't think that came up at all when I was playing. That may have come up after I mentioned that.
But yeah, no. If I was like, I keep looking at it, and I'm just like, can I give up all this? Like, can I give up Blue Archive? Because Blue Archive has a pretty good story. It's not the bestest story, and I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna be seething over high school girls overly much. But it's like the story's pretty good, and I enjoy it. But like, God, like, I feel like I have to give up probably Snowbreak and Azure Lane, and I don't want to. I really don't want to.
Well, I honestly, I feel like Azure Lane will be the breaking point first, just because you're, like I said, it sounds like you've had some tension with the cubes and the characters and the more characters and the stuff, and then.
Oh yeah, no. If I burn through all my fucking cubes and I do not get my lovely fox wife, I am probably just going to rage quit. I am not going to spend any more money. I am just going to be like, gone. No. And maybe like 2 fucking years, maybe in like 2 years when they rerun it or something, I'll try again. But it's just like, fuck, no, man.
Yeah, that seems like the Azure Lane cycle. And I will say, I feel like I have to keep my schedule open because, like, at some point, I'm pretty sure Girls Frontline 2 is actually going to launch, like, worldwide. Like, they've shown footage, they've talked about it, they're planning on a global launch for Exilium. And that's just XCOM but Girls Frontline, and I'm like, shit, man, I think if they do that, they've got me again. Like, I have to at least try that game, because I really like XCOM. And XCOM 2, but I haven't played it very fully. And I have Chimera Squad, I should sit some time and play. But it's like I said, I've been so in on my console as, both standalone games and just my daily loop games of, doing stuff. Honestly, my making sure to log in every day to grind Yu-Gi-Oh! has even a little bit to get some daily gems has also paid off, because I had like 4K when they finally dropped a new pack that had cards I wanted, and I was able to like blow 4K gems and which is very gacha style, but it's usually for 10 packs, which booster packs come in sets of 8. It's 1,000 gems. SR guaranteed. If you miss a UR, you get a UR guaranteed your next pull. Yes, it is very gacha styled. But like I was able to blow like my 4K gems and like get most of the stuff I wanted to build a brand new deck and be like, yeah, this is comfortable. So now I'm like learning it. But like there have been some PC stuff I've wanted to poke. I got a few games I need to actually run sometime. Like I installed Humankind, which I've owned for a while, but we have actually been playing so much Civ, I have not decided to see how the other half lives yet and try out some other stuff. I mean, I don't think they were the first gacha because booster packs are slightly different than capsule machines, but it's honestly it's the same tactic. But hey, it's sometimes we play Yu-Gi-Oh and we have fun. But yeah, I need like for my gacha style stuff, I feel like I have to stay loosey goosey because they could launch new titles. And I haven't heard any news about it at all, but they got a fucking Arknights has like a side call or a 3Dified version of the game they're working on as well. If I feel like gameplay and story have to be pretty high up there to get me in there with gacha games these days. So yeah, it's definitely like, trying to keep me on.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I think the reason why I stopped playing like Ever Crisis so much was just because, like, I mean, it's cool, I like the concept, but like, I would rather just play those old FF games. I would rather throw in my copy of Crisis Core or whatever, or so it was just kind of like weird to do this like extra thing. They're doing great stuff. The things they've done with the models are crazy. Fucking Bahamut Armor Cloud, all their summer stuff. Like, it's real neat. It's just like, when I was playing it, I was like, I could just play, Final Fantasy VII. I own that. But, we're in the gacha sphere, so we keep an eye on it. I always say the other thing that usually takes me up is writing. I think for Rain, we're in a pretty good spot where I have, like, a couple... I'm pretty sure I've got definitely our next session or so worth of stuff in the back end going. I think I'll have to reevaluate, but I guess I'll double-check tomorrow and Sunday if I'm like, do I think we're going to fully ass hit the Grand Melee next time, and do I want to try and push for that? If I do that, I will need to pre-plan and make sure that I have sufficient NPC stats for everybody involved. But, like, writing-wise, I think Rain's on a pretty even keel right now with me working on future stuff, so I've actually been thinking about poking other projects. I will say, it's not quite the spooky month, but when it is the spooky month, I actually have an inkling for a new Delta Green scenario, separate from the previous Delta Green scenario I was working on. I was struck with a bolt from the blue.
Damn you,
actually, Blue. I can say straight, it's Spite. Spite is powering me this time. I was presented in another community a horror-themed RPG adventure that was like, it had good bones, but the execution was so unrepentantly, like, nonsensically bad and edgy. I was like, I am offended by this. I could write this better. In fact, I think I will. Fuck you. So the
I hope you
adventure
said that in that community.
To them, yeah, I think I did. No, it was
excellent.
Yeah, I mean, the whole point was to, like, it was presented as, like, this adventure is, like, really bad and edgy, and I was not alone when I was like, the part that makes me the most mad is, like, this has a good core concept in there, it's just executed very shittily. But no, like, this is codenamed Operation Spiteful Haze. I'm, like, literally like, no, Spite's powering me on this. But this one is planned to be shorter and less complex than my other Delta Green scenario, so hopefully it should be fast to write. So I've been keeping that in the background. And I will also say, hey, first of all, if you haven't, chat, go watch our first stream of Titanfall 2. I know, even though Lucky and I have both played the campaign, there was a lot of, oh yeah, I forgot this happened then. Very neat stuff. Great game. I will say, funnily enough, immediately after that stream, I tried to get on and play some Titanfall 2 multiplayer, but I kept getting crashes. So I reinstalled my my copy to hopefully sort that out. But I did not actually take the time to go back and try it out because I got Astro Bot the day after I actually went through that lengthy process.
Mm-hmm. With Rain, I'm very excited as always. I don't think there's anything too particular to say.
Yeah, Rain's very comfortable. I will say that, like, I agree because we've been getting this from a couple ends. Like, Aaron himself has been thinking about, like, man, am I role playing enough? Am I, proactively getting my stuff on the table done? And I did have to, like, do my own mea culpa, which is like, yeah, I regret that I have Conrad stuff. I have things that are Conrad core. I am not, like, scooching us to them as rapidly. And Aaron does he is one of our quieter players, so he kind of, like, naturally does pull back. But and he says, like, oh, no, I don't blame you just then. But it's definitely a thing I've been thinking about, but hopefully we will get to it. Like, Rain's a really interesting game because we talked about this, and playing it, it's really plain to see that, like, a lot of stuff wants you to be on a time scale, but also, like, depending on how things are written, you can get very micro scale, and we're in that phase right now where, like, you guys are buzzing around so much, like, oh, I want to talk to this guy, I want to see how this is going, I need to find information on this, and also doing all your own, individual personal plot threads as well, that, like, I'm trying to develop a process to streamline that more, because I know you guys have a lot of goals that are long or medium term that we're just not seeing, but we're still eating up, like, and it's not like we're doing nothing. These are fucking 4-hour game sessions before we call it a day, So, like, we're here, we're doing stuff, but it's a lot of things to chew through, so I'm trying to, like, work on my onboarding process. I'm hopeful that I know that we're at the festival time, we're schmooving a little. Yeah, I know, we need to get out of micro time, but also, we're doing shit in micro time. Like, everybody is, I think, gaming, and there's room for more. I definitely think since Aaron straight up said that he was planning on having Conrad get more deeply into his punching criminal stuff, that unless he, like, does push for it while we're not doing it, I will probably try and like leave less hooks and just speedball through more of the festivities.
I think it's just something we have to be a little bit more conscious of. We can't,
Yeah.
let ourselves get in the weeds too much, and probably have to slap Dallas a couple times.
And I will say, like, listening wise, like, episode 14, Romantic Entanglements, came out, and we got like our usual round of positive feedback. We got our one dedicated commenter commenting.
Thank you, by the way.
Yes, we appreciate it. I would love if more people commented, but we'll take feedback what we can get. And like talking about like very memorable moments, because like I think that one was kind of like energetic and very memorable and very fun. We'll see how well 15 does. It's uploaded now because I forgot to tell Lucky about it until like an hour before we started recording the podcast. So that one will hopefully I will remember by Sunday to put that up for everybody. But yeah, it's just like one of those things where like we're doing stuff, we're having fun, but also practically this thing has to go somewhere sometime. And I think that like honestly, I think our 15th session was better about that, because while it was like very exposition heavy and only a couple of characters were at that scene, like all the players were listening. I didn't like send you out of the room, God forbid. I now that I'm against sending players out of the room for small stuff, but this would have been like 2 hours with them out of the room. That's not worth it.
Yeah.
So like that I think gave you guys like a full breadth of some stuff to chew on as players and sit back and listen. And we have good solid plans for where to go from here, and we should move through some stuff. And like I knew it would have this effect, but me at the end dropping my bomb of, ooh, what if we did a masquerade? Like immediately I'm just imagining like I feel like both Enos as a character and you, Lucky, as the player, were like, hold on, I gotta like get out of my chair and pace around the room. Hold on, what'd you say? Masquerade? Oh, the drama. Like that had a good effect. But also I wrote it, and I appreciate that some players are just like, and player characters are just like, yeah, I'm not sure I'm going. And I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to go, actually. It's set up so you don't. Yeah. It's just that you may miss some of the dramatique.
I think that's one of those things that everyone has to learn, is that not every character needs to be involved in everything. And that, if we don't have everyone trying to do something in this, we can probably move through the activity that much faster.
Yeah,
I think that's what...
Go ahead.
And I think that's one of the things I think we have to realize to get back into like kind of the macro time. It's like, macro time is probably where we should be like doing our actual big things, not in micro time. Unless we're like hunting for something very specific. You were going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say that it's funny because I think we're in a state where we have to relearn this. Because like I feel like by the time we got through the prologue, we were pretty good at like not always. Obviously, we had some time when everybody was all in a scene together. We would still get like deep in the role playing, but like we hit a stride where it was like, all right, here are the contests, here are the characters involved. Who wants to roll? You want to do that? All right, yeah, I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna prep. And like other characters would be like, nope, not having it. And like we hit a good stride of like people being in their niches and stuff. And then when we got back to the time skip, I feel like for some reason we kind of had to like relearn it. And maybe specifically it's because we're back in the capital. I think that like the process of those early time skip stuff went by fairly well. There was a little bit of times where like I either had to telegraph or like the rest of you had to kind of say to like acts as the leader of the house type character now and be like, okay, we don't need to be so worried about this. We can move on, But like we got a good plan, and like you guys post plan stuff. It's just I'm not sure what I was thinking about, like how long the actual festival would take. I do kind of think that I had plenty of exposition to do, but I think the pre-festival time took more time than I thought it would. I know I did write an option for you guys to get here a couple days early, and you're using your time well, but also it is taking up more time. And also, like, I didn't really intend when I wrote the festival as the prologue for the characters to kind of, like, latch onto it so hard, and I probably should have thought of that better, because it makes a lot of sense, It was a big, social event for all of you. You were very young and impressionable, and ended, with a big character-defining capstone tragedy. So, like, in my mind of having, like, I didn't even know for sure if you guys were gonna, like, specifically return for the festival. I did think that might happen, but you guys were definitely very big on like, oh yeah, I've seen some more festivals during the time skip, and yeah, we should use this as our opportunity to debut big and do all the stuff. And like it's always got to be careful about them player stuff.
Mm-hmm. Players will always act in the ways you least expect them to.
I mean, we've talked about this before with like conflict, and like I'm actually kind of glad that like we had this conversation about how like the rest of the players kind of plastered over potential conflict with characters. And I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago where you said like, nah, fuck it. I don't want peace, only problems. I'm going to start beef with these characters anyway.
Yes, I did.
And I'm like, yes, I appreciate this willingness because like it is open ended and like I mean I'm gonna do some lifting on my own. Spoilers. I think that the crew's generic opinion that I think just because of Nicola we're like, oh no, House Ferretti, they're cool. I think I'm gonna do some stuff to shake that one up over the last.
Oh, don't you worry. I'm already like. Don't worry, I'm already.
You're already picking up what's being put down. Yes. But like I said, I think I'm going to do some more actionable stuff that'll shake that one loose a little.
I'm just like, wait a fucking minute.
But no, honestly, no, I don't necessarily think that you should probably be petty, Axe. I think you've hit your character correctly, saying I'm juggling too many things most of the time. Honestly, that's fair. That works as a character beat. You got like important shit to worry about. You don't need to start petty beef. You're saving for something important, and it's like it's interesting to see that back and forth, and we might get some new rivalries and stuff and see some things. And it is always funny to like talk about that other stuff. Like I mentioned before that like like you brought up out of character. Like man, I think some people are too straightforward with the Crown Prince, and I'm like, oh, don't think NPCs haven't noticed. just you wait till I get a scene. Agave Cheval will only feel mildly bad about rattling Nicola's skull.
I really enjoyed the dynamic that Agave Cheval and Enos had in the latest scene. It was very much the vibe I wanted to give, honestly. Although, I will say, there was definitely a moment, like you'll hear it in the recording, where I said there was something I wanted to say, but then I feel like I get stabbed, so I didn't. And I'm like, no, this is encapsulate perfectly what I wanted here. But no, but that is one of those things that, like, I do feel like kind of irks me sometimes, where I feel like people are treat like other like NPCs specifically. I need to say, I think everyone treats other PCs with the proper amount of gravitas, but I do get a little irked when people are using NPCs like, this is gonna be my new buddy. We're just gonna ignore everything about them, and they're my friend. I'm just like, that's not how this works usually with royalty and whatnot.
And I will say, I've mentioned this before, but like I do actually put thought when I design stat blocks for more prominent NPCs, which I've been doing a lot, more casually lately. I do actually think if they have passions, duties, missions, and cravings, and what those are, and like, it helps me give color, and it's definitely one of those things of like, no, some important NPCs have these things, and so they will have both mechanical and narrative reason to do things or to not do things.
Yeah.
So like, I don't necessarily want to stymie players from what they want to do. Like, I don't want to cockblock or gatekeep them from doing the narrative they want. But also, it's like, some of these things are not going to go the way you think they are.
And that's why, I enjoy this game. Like, I do think I enjoy this game. I enjoy the NPCs being their own force in the world and whatnot, and not necessarily just a conduit for PCs to do things.
Yeah, I haven't used them at all, but, I think all the major houses have, company stats now and, have assets and stuff. So, if it came up, I'm ready to roll. It just has also been a micro time, but they've got their own agendas and shit.
Yeah, and
God, there's so much in the background. I have so many.
I know there's so much in the back. I want to get to it, but there's just you're talking about. There's so many little things I want to do, spurred on by the whole Jewel Dragon pin. Enos is currently running around, working on his next big project. And thankfully, I have been just putting it off as anytime I go free time, it's yes, Enos runs off to the guild to talk about things, and we just move on from there. But at some point, I am gonna actually start knuckling down and getting out all the details of that and start making rolls.
Yeah,
and I worry about that because I don't want that to necessarily slow down game when we have so many things percolating. I actually started making a goal list for Enos in my notes so I can actually try to keep better track of what I want to accomplish with Enos. What I want to do, as a player, what do I want to see Enos do? Character goals as Enos, and what his short, mid, and long-term plans are. And I just keep adding things. I'm all like, God damn, there's a lot of stuff I want to do.
Rain's going to be a very fun and complex game. But actually, I remembered, I distracted myself talking about Rain. But the reason I brought up Titanfall 2 earlier was, it immediately put me in, my personal, sci-fi mood. One, it made me think that, sometime we probably should look at Lancer. A very comprehensive, mecha RPG. But also, I gotta say, we've talked about this before, Lancer's interesting because, mechanically, combat's supposed to be very similar to D&D 4th, which I appreciate, but also kind of like D&D 4th edition. It's got very, or at least it had, they've had a few years to work on this. It had very minimal out of character, like, or out of combat, like, mechanics. A lot of the RP stuff is just kind of like, you have to decide to do stuff. And a lot of that is more improvisational. And I know that, like, for you and me, for instance, that could be like and I say for you and me because, like, Axe has offered to run Lancer for us before. And I'd have to, like, if I was going to run it, I'd have to get into the back end, but I might have fun that way. But, it is also D&D. It would need maps and shit. But, like, I know that for you and me as players, that would be, a weird moment of, like, that could be both a blessing and a curse. Just be like, we just kind of do whatever in improv time and maybe roll some dice. And it's just like, no, that means we could be here forever.
Yeah.
The entire session is derailed because Lucky and Omega decide, we're going to the bar, we're getting drunk. We're drunk now? Let's go find a space rabbit. We spend the entire session in a fucking Gundam filler episode looking for a space rabbit.
It's a mythical space rabbit. Said to give great luck.
So, like I said, I could see that happening, which would, I don't know how that would be. But, like, if you wanted to do Titanfall stuff or a lot of, the whole thing out there, it is a good RPG for that way I've heard. But also I started thinking about, like, other sci-fi leading stuff I had. Like, I've talked before about having a very loose concept for what I call in my mind the Space Truckers game, because I've always been a fan of that as, like, a concept or even a genre. There are a couple of, like, games and stories in that perspective, and maybe think about, like, chipping away at that idea some more if I've got free time. And, I've also had my Space Crafty game, for Explorer, in my backlog for literal years. It's just funny to me how, like, all it takes is one little spark to be like, man, space is cool. I want to write about space.
Space.
I will say my idea for kind of the Space Truckers, like, it's still in the concept phases of, like, the setting. I have ideas for, like, what I want to do with, like, tech and stuff. And I think there are some interesting stuff that's been happening in a couple of different settings. I think both Starfield and Star Citizen do this where, like, communicating is not necessarily FTL. So, like, if you want to get messages sent, you have to send ships basically with, the equivalent of bags of mail to get data around. And I'm like, I like that because that gives players something to do constantly. And usually when I'm thinking about tabletop gaming stuff, that's what I think about. I think about in the context of, like, what I want players to be doing. Moving cargo. Maybe if they want to specialize in delivering messages, they'll get a small, fast ship with big servers and big antennas. But if they want to haul cargo, maybe they'll have a big, dumb, slow ship full of shipping containers.
No, I'd love to play a small courier company, call myself the Rapid Rapids.
And that would be the kind of thing I would model. And hey, guess what, Lucky? This is the thing I've been thinking about. If I were to end up getting more in this homebrew, the things you want to do would definitely end up in the game because you are, like, the one person I talk to about these things who gives me the feedback the fastest. We have other people in Tabletop Cabal, and when I'm showing homebrew projects, I do usually get a little bit of feedback. I think for Singularity War stuff, like, and for Gensekai too, actually, like, Aaron is very good about, like, actually, like, I mean, he gets bored at work, so he'll back read the documentation and offer comments, when he's got time, but I don't always get as much feedback. It's one of those things, like I said, I've been thinking about the writing phase, and it's like, I'm still, like, debating with myself, like, I'm so early in this concept of, like, okay, I know I want the end goal to be, well, there's a lot of, like, different frontier groups that run things, and so we need, people need cargo and messages moved, and they don't necessarily all agree, so there's going to be, like, smuggling and stuff, too, so there'll be some kind of law and order, and, whatnot, and also I need room for, threats, pirates and stuff, and maybe room for, like, big conflict to blow up, because who doesn't like a little macro scale, some high stakes, but at the same time, I'm also like, yeah, I don't know how soft sci-fi we're getting. Are there aliens? Do I want there to be aliens? I could just do it so that there's just, like, humans and, like, genetically modified, human side species and, robots, robot people. Who doesn't like a good robot people? And, like, I genuinely don't know. I probably would have, like, maybe some kind of, like, truly alien enemy for people to fight, but it could just be all precursors. It could be precursors all the way down. I like both versions of sci-fi. So it's always something I'm like, I think about these things. Because I know, it ultimately for, like, the design goal I'm going, I don't think it actually matters if there are for real sentient aliens or not. Because, like I said, the goal is space truckers. The goal is to, do, like, a small-scale crew kind of like Firefly, but maybe with a little bit less crime overall. And like, you know, you do stuff. Do I want there to be like weird psychic space magic powers? Maybe. People like space magic, I think. But also like, you know,
honestly,
robot hands, all that stuff. Go for it.
Honestly, I think we focus less on like space magic and probably think more about cybernetic and biological augments. Something that everyone can do. Because this is the thing that I've noticed about like us playing tabletops. When we put in the special magic system, even though we probably shouldn't use it, most of us want to use it. Like I'm super horrible about it. But I was like, man,
we have at one point in our game, everybody in Gensakai became a caster.
Yeah. I think everyone in Gensakai is still a caster. Hell, Dallas plays multiple casters because he gets to change his character.
Yeah, Dallas did some weird stuff to end up a little more broad. When we started with a couple, I mean, I think he still might have some casting. Dallas is a multicasting fool. And like vibe-wise, I like why his character is that way, but it is sometimes a complexity. It is a pain in the butt.
It's a big pain in the butt. So, like, honestly, and I don't think that like speaking of your thing, I think it's okay to maybe have like one or two different races. We don't have to go full thing, but adding some diversity is never a bad thing, and you can get maybe some of the weirder ideas out that way.
That is a thing, and that's why, you know, I would go that route, would be to like give players the chance to do something, and I think there's enough room for like oddball aliens. You know, you can that can work to like different stuff if you have different dietary requirements, or like, you know, maybe you need to be in a methane hard suit the whole time.
Yeah, like honestly, like it's a cheat, but I would literally just make space elves and space dwarves, give them something unique about that, and focus more on for personal matters, cyberization and augmentation, and then go fucking ham on the ships.
Oh, that's already planned. That would be the thing. Like, this is the thing I love about Fluff. I would, you know, thinking about different space manufacturers and how they build different things, and like, I see you go to this brand. You're flying basically, you know, the equivalent of a space caterpillar, you know, your space bulldozer. Or, yes, you go to the expensive space manufacturer. There's not a single straight line anywhere in this spaceship. Doesn't that mean all your stuff rolls? Oh, sir, no. All of our interior surfaces are made of gecko material. You actually stick to every floor. You can sleep on the ceiling if you want, sir. Our built-in robot maids will hand you a fresh space beer. Be careful about drinking beer in space, by the way. If you're in actual zero-G, the carbonation is very bad for you. It doesn't have any...
Yeah, I'm about to say, carbonation in space is very bad.
That's okay. I've already, I think I've mentioned this before, but to recap, my rough idea of, like, how we got here to this, like, space trucker level is, you know, humanity colonizes the solar system. We tuck into all the places we would because we are expansionist, and, you know, people are hungry for resources, so people get off the Earth. There's what they call the colonization wars, because people who, you know, live on the moon and on Mars are like, wait a minute, why do we listen to people from Earth? They don't live here. I live here. And of course, because corporations are like, also, yes, we could make extra money if we didn't have to pay those filthy regulations. Oh, we could do more. Not every corporation, but somebody will be like, yes, what if I just owned all of Mars? And so somebody is like, sir, I have a space gun. You can't own Mars. Well, I have my own space gun. What do you think about that? And then fight.
Shit.
Whoa. But they discover the classic, the cache of alien technology on Callisto, because I like doing it on moons. And I think, actually, no, it was Saturn in the original 2001. But, you know, that gives them access to a couple of, like, fundamental technologies. One is how to do artificial gravity, which is a thing, you know, we haven't necessarily cracked in real life. So there's going to be gravity cores and gravity plates. So, yeah, you can walk in spaceships if your spaceship is big and has enough power that you can actually, like, afford to have gravity generation in it. And they discovered quantum jump tunneling, so you can do short-range FTL to, like, get around inside a solar system without going crazy and make short hops between solar systems. But also sometimes it's weird, and you can see weird shit when you're quantum tunneling at faster-than-light speeds. There's jump jockeys, you gotta watch out. Don't paradox yourself. And then that allowed humans to build jump gates, so there are, you know, big static wormholes that go between gates, but that's the slow way. You gotta wait in line to get in the jump gate. And that's, like I said, where, like, my idea of, like, sending mail, because it's, like, technically there is faster-than-light radio, but it requires you to have a quantum jump drive on your ship and a giant antenna, and also know where the fuck in space you're pointing it, because, you know, everything is relative. So it's not a guarantee. So it's a lot cheaper to just have your jump gate have a mail server, and then when the connection goes to, the planet you're going to, your mail gets sorted through. Or you pay a courier to, take your mail in. So like I said, I'm still in some concept phases, but, that's an idea that, I think will never go away for me, because I don't, there's a little bit of, the space opera RPG Traveler, but I think they're kind of defunct. There are some, rules light sci-fi settings, and I do think that for Genesis, the Twilight Imperium setting they did is pretty good, but that leans way more into the operatic parts, and like I said, I'm really into the, not quite space western. I think the Serenity RPG they did was fairly okay, but I don't have a lot of experience with it. But, not quite fully space western, but also not so highbrow as to be space opera. Just man, did they actually release a new version of Traveler recently? I haven't checked. I know that it's been kind of up in air for a while. Even then, I still don't know. I feel like that story did lean a little more on the opera side, but it's just one of those things where it's yeah, no, I think that it would be, neat to just be all right, you're space truckers. Here's your spaceship. It's really cool. Except it's not. It's probably a piece of shit. You want to buy a better spaceship. Or you like that your spaceship looks like a piece of shit, but you're gonna, fucking Dominic Toretto Han Solo the shit out of it so it, runs like it's top of the line. Because I love those tropes. It's our stock car racing of spaceships. And you gotta make space rent. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna shoot pirates? Are you gonna, smuggle things? Are you gonna retire and become a space farmer? So yeah, like I said, it's just an idea that appeals to me, and I have not yet found a game that quite scratches that itch. And the unfortunate thing, chat, is when I get those kinds of ideas, I'm well, shit, I'll just do it myself. But also, I'm working on a handful of projects, so I gotta be careful about that. Don't want to get too swamped. And like I said, while I do very much feel that kind of space sci-fi bite, I'm also don't want to forget about that Delta Green thing. I think I can actually get that done, and we can have a Delta Green adventure in the spooky season. Spooky. I'll have to see if Marth wants to come back for that. He has not wanted to jump in on some of our games lately. He's a busy boy. He's got stuff to do. He does occasionally pop in when we do Fail Betrayal and stuff, but we have not table-talked with him in a while. But yeah, that was another 30 minutes of aside on various creative tabletop projects. I am fucking sweaty. It is hot in here. It is not ventilated. I think I need to wrap up the recording and crack my doors and windows. Oh yeah, it's no wonder it's hot. The air conditioners aren't running. It's 74 outside. Which, considering I think today the high was 87, it's a big drop. Probably need to crack a window. But I still... Yeah, I don't know if Loth's got something going on today. He may be in his game, for instance. So we'll see if we pull anything together, but otherwise I think Lucky will be Civen or Warframe, and then I'll probably go back to hunting random bots in Astro Bot, and we'll call it a day. Anything else, Lucky, on your mind in this last minute?
No, not particularly. I did get back into the Sin Duality closed beta network test, so I may be doing that over the weekend. But other than that, nah. I am glad to see that this thing is still trucking on, though. It kind of went fucking dark after the last beta test.
Yeah, it happens sometimes where they go a little quiet. Actually, it reminds me about Mecha Break. I didn't play that beta, the open beta, very much, but it seemed fun. God, there's so many video games, though.
There are.
I gotta be careful. Don't want to overspend, but there's good gaming. Space Marine 2 looking very good. Echoes of Wisdom comes out later this month. I still got some games in my backlog to work on. Like I said, getting into Astro Bot, though, kind of I think has readjusted my gaming angle, and I'm yeah, I got stuff I can do. But also still, there's good new games out there. But alrighty, like I said, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, it's late. I'm gonna need to fill up my bottle of water. We'll talk to you next time. We'll do the old outro, which goes a little something like this. Like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, join our Discord. The Discord link is in the description if you don't see it. You can also follow us on social media. There's some sort of tweet links down there somewhere. Don't use the official social media a lot, but I occasionally post thumbnails and links to big videos. Following us on Discord is the best way to stay in touch. Ring the bell so you see when we make new videos, and also that would probably include mailbag posts as well. I think you get a notification push for text posts if you've got it set up that way, if you want them. You want those things. Consider supporting us via channel memberships for access to membership badges and emotes. And like I said at the start, sorry, I briefly befuddled myself because I realized I'm counting on my fingers and I extended one of my ring fingers for that. That was weird fingers. Support us on Patreon. You get access to episodes early, for as low as $1 a month, about $10 a year. Get access to topic polls and certain video releases early, and at higher levels, you can listen to us record the show live every week. And at our toppest tier, you can get a shout out as well. But that's everything we got for this week. Once again, we'll see what more FGO news bubbles to the surface. kind of interesting with the way Archetype Inception is going, where like we're doing a multi-drop story chapter, but we've announced the multi-drop part like all ahead of time, so it's still getting doled out. But we're not necessarily seeing a lot of brand new banners, so we'll see what's up. And like I said, I'm hopeful that we can still get in a brand new Guda Guda or a Halloween or something this year as well. Always love to see that new seasonal stuff. But that's going to be it from us. We'll see you guys next week. And like I said, make sure to tune in on Monday for our Monday stream, Titanfall 2. I held my back from saying Titanfall in a serious voice. All right, I think that's going to be it for us, guys. Good night, everybody.
Good night.